Alright, cool. So welcome to the stream. So in this stream I'm going to do some winter trees for you guys, so you guys can kind of get a feel for how to paint winter trees. In this case we're going to be using Paintstorm. So the software is called Paintstorm, and in fact here really quickly, let's go ahead and just go through everything you'll need to follow along if you want to go ahead and paint Bob Ross style in Paintstorm. So the first thing is go to Paintstorm and Google. You're going to need that software, obviously. You can try this in other softwares, but I've tried all kinds of software and nothing really paints like Bob Ross. The next closest one was probably Krita, but you're going to have to make a lot of brushes, and I lost my Krita brushes. So but my Paintstorm brushes are free, they're on my site. But anyway, you want to go here and get Paintstorm. Right now it is, how much is this software? I think it's $20. Yeah, it's only $20 and you own it for life. And if you and a friend both want it, you can get 2 copies for $30 and save $10. And it gives you 2 different licenses, so you can have 2 different systems. It works on Windows, it works on Mac. I think there is also there's an iPad version as well. And my brushes will work on the iPad. That is now confirmed. So the other thing you want to do is you want to go to my website to get my brushes. So go to masterpaintingnow.com. Might want to go ahead and subscribe for the free lessons so you can stay up to date when I come out with more free lessons on how to use the brushes and all that. This is here how to install the brushes once you have them, and here's to download the brushes, and then go ahead and sign up with your email address so you can stay up to date on other stuff that I do with Paintstorm and such. Alright, cool. So that's that. Let's go ahead and get started now. Cool. So the first thing I like to do is I like to use what's my sky brush. So once you have these brushes downloaded, you can go ahead and use them. And here's the sky brush. This one's really good. I recommend starting out with a smaller file, like maybe 1600 pixels wide, something like that, to get used to painting and stuff. You're probably not going to save your first ones. At least you're not going to want to print them out. If you're going to want to print it out, then maybe go in a larger file size, maybe something like 3000 pixels wide or something like that, to even 6000 pixels wide. That would be really big. And then you can print out a really big version of it at like DeviantArt or something like that. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start with this kind of blue color. So you can see here, it's kind of more toward the cyan blue, and then I desaturated it a lot. But we're going to go now more toward blue and desaturate even more and make it even darker. I'm going to go ahead and put this as the top. So just kind of little loose circles, push kind of hard at first and then push kind of light to kind of mist that down. So that, and then we're going to grab this color and just kind of mist back up into it. That's similar to using a big 2-inch brush when you're working traditionally. One other thing I want to do really fast though, I'm going to grab a reddish kind of color here. I'm just going to put a little bit of red here, not much. I'm going to go a little bit more toward fuchsia actually. I just want a little bit, very lightly touch this. Like so, take the blue and just go right back over that. I just want a little bit of pink here in my horizon where I'm going to paint some trees, so I have a little bit of, almost like there's maybe some sun peeking through there. Then we're going to grab our sky. Let's see here, there's that. I'm going to probably start with these clouds here, the second cloud brush. Make sure everything's working okay over here. Cool, everything looks like it's working good. Awesome. Gonna send out a Twitch thing here. Wait, why does it say how I animate video games? Is that what it still says right now? It's not supposed to say that. It's supposed to say painting winter trees. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and send that tweet out. Let me check and make sure. Okay, hold on. I don't know, for some reason I go to tweet it says painting winter trees, but hopefully it says the proper thing there. Alright, cool. Get back to painting here. Alright, so yeah, anyway, once you have that all done, and by the way, if anyone does come in and watch this, I usually don't get very many people that come and watch live. I mainly just use it to put videos up onto YouTube, but if you do have any questions, you happen to be live, feel free to ask the question, and I'll go ahead and answer it. Alright, so when I want to do a winter, I don't want too many like bright clouds, so I'm just going to go pretty much the exact same colors down here, except I want to bring it up to the left and up a little bit. So I wanted a little bit raise my brush size here. You can use the brackets on the keyboard to make your brush larger or smaller, just like Photoshop. I'm add a little bit of cloud right there, And well, don't worry, we'll blur this out so it won't look that perfect. Actually, I'm gonna use this cloud brush. I like this one better. And that one's good for like some things, but this one's less detailed. I want this one for right now. And a little bit in the corner here, maybe a little bit over here, like so. Something like that is fine. And now I'm going to take my awesome blender brush. We're going to make this quite large, and we just kind of want to sweep upward into the edge, like almost like this, like a, I don't know what shape that is, kind of like a Nike sign. So just kind of, and just very lightly pull through these clouds here. Then you can go back and forth like this and just very lightly touch them. You can kind of pull the clouds around. Get smaller here, you can kind of just little circles and just kind of pull the shape of the cloud. I kind of go with the shape of the cloud and just kind of pull around here, around the edges here, so you just kind of blur out a little bit of the hard shapes, like so, until you get something that you're happy with. Remember, Bob Ross style is you know, almost abstract. Sometimes the stuff you paint is just really loosely representing what you're doing. Something like that's good. I want to make sure it's decently light back here because I'm going to do a darker trees in the background. We're going to kind of put the trees in the background in mist. So one thing I like to do, like in snowy winter scenes, when I'm doing trees far in the background, is we'll obviously want to use kind of like a bluish gray color, but just keep it to where they're misted in the background. Then as you come to the trees in the foreground, that's where you want to actually draw the trees with more detail on them. Like we can have some snow on them and things like that. Alright, cool. So let's go ahead and grab the tree brush. So the different tree brushes I like to use in my Bob Ross collection here. If you're new in this video and just got here, in the beginning of the video, if you're wondering how to get the brushes, I tell you how. But you basically just go to my website. So masterpaintingnow.com, and then go to subscribe for free, and there's my links, the link to these brushes, and they're free to download. Alright, so I'm going to use, let's see here, I'm debating whether I want some really far background trees. Then we're just going to go right into actual trees. So let's go into right to our actual tree creator, and I like using my horizontal or vertical brush here. Sometimes this one's good too. This one allows me to actually rotate or rock the brush around. This can be good for some background trees. Let's try this one for now. But first we're going to need our vertical brush to paint in our vertical. Now I'm going to take that background color. So I want my trees to be darker than the background, this darkest background sky color. So I'm going to take that color, and I'm going to pull it down so it's a little bit darker, so you can see that it's darker. That might still be a little bit too dark, so let me go ahead. Let me see here something. I'm going to see if I go, we might be able to get away with doing that same color just because these trees aren't going to really be over. Yeah, let's do that. I'm going to make one tree here in the center. Just pull straight down to make this tree trunk here. The next tree I'm going to have it kind of next to it, but a little bit shorter. Whenever you're working in threes, you want to make sure that they're all different. You don't want them to be all the same size. It adds more. Anyway, I go through this in my course on my website. So if you go to masterpaintnow.com, I have a whole course on this, on painting backgrounds. It has a whole, within that painting backgrounds course, there's a whole section on composition, like how things should look good. And anyway, you don't want them equally distant like that. So when you're drawing groups of three, I recommend to draw, you know, this is different than this. There's not equal distances, and also not only are there not equal distances, but the heights are different. So this height, this is the tallest, this is the next tallest, like that. Alright, so now I'm going to go to my Pinewood brush here. This one allows me to rock and turn the tree. So I haven't shown how to use this one to make trees. It's very similar to using the horizontal one, except you want to kind of rock and turn it as you're coming down and making the brush bigger. And you're going to kind of go in like this kind of S curve like this as you go down. And hold on, let me see something. I want to make sure that, yeah, it's kind of, let me see something. I can change the bristle amount. Just want to see what I think works better. Yeah, I think that's fine. Alright, so I like to start at a slight angle like this, and I'm going to just kind of push, make it even smaller, just kind of push up and make a couple different shapes. And leave some space as you're coming here. Then start making the brush a little bit bigger. And a little bit bigger. A little bit bigger as I work our way down. Leave a little bit of space. I'm going to kind of rock my brush angles like this. I'm going to kind of come down like that. And we're going to get something like this. So that's very similar to how you would work if you were actually using a fan brush to make your trees. I'm going to kind of just fill in a little bit more detail in here. Like so. I'm going to add a few more just brushes, I'm just going to tap this brush to get a few little details out there on the edge. I think I like that. I'm going to go back to my vertical brush really fast here. I'm going to just add a little more, just a little bit of a peak. I'm going to turn my brush size down. There we go. Add just that little bit of peak to the tree there. Alright, cool. Let's go back to the same brush again. Doing the same thing, but I'm going to work here. So at first I just kind of like to make little marks like this where I know I'm going to mark all the way down. And that gives me an idea. Then I can start increasing my brush size. Then I'm going to kind of go to a slight angle some of these to kind of give a different shape, as you can see there. So the tops of these trees are a little bit more beat up. Then I'm just kind of work my way down here. Make some back and forth squiggle shapes, and then I'm going to add, just kind of tap the brush to add some more detail like so. We're gonna also kind of blur these into the background. I'm gonna show you kind of a trick to do that, because right now they're a little bit sharp. Start out really small. Now I'm just increasing the brush size here. Okay, I don't know what's... For some reason my brush wasn't painting there for a second. Not sure why that was. I don't want too much detail because this is more in the background. We're going to come over with snow and stuff, but don't worry about that yet. Just kind of get the basic shape there. Now I'm going to take my Awesome blender. So we'll go back into the Awesome blender. This is the same blender that we use for the clouds. Bob Ross would beat the devil of this program. That's funny. Yes, he would. I think Bob Ross would have enjoyed this program if he had a chance to check, chance to live to check it out. So I'm just going to lightly hit some of the edges of the trees here and just kind of, I just want to blend some of the edge into the background. So it's like there's, see, it adds a little more misty look to it. So that way it doesn't look so, this will naturally happen when you work with oils. You can naturally just get that kind of blend on the edge because you're working wet on wet. And then we need to blend out this bottom. So I'm going to just go back and forth in horizontal and just start to blend out the bottom there so we kind of lose the structure and shape of the trees. And this will kind of make it look like misty in the background there. And then I'm going to take the actual background color and add a little bit of mist manually now. So you could use this smooth cloud brush, for example. You can kind of just add, oh no, that's not the right one. Let's see here, this cloud brush, I think. Yeah, so just kind of adding some of this pink. Let me see if this, oh, this is just a blender cloud brush, okay. You could blend out some of that first with the cloud brush. I guess I'm going to use this cloud brush here. If I want to add some of that color back, I could. But instead I'm going to do this trick. I'm going to do the sky brush. Add just a little bit of that misty color like that, just very lightly. And then I'm going to come back to my cloud blender brush. It's the third cloud brush down. Cloud 1, 2 is the third one. It's called Cloud Blender. I'm just going to lightly go over this in little circle motions to kind of add some cloud texture back into that. It just adds a little bit of texture back into the mist. Like so. And I can go back to my, if I feel like I did that too much, I can go back to my Awesome blender and I can just blend some of that right back. Like so. It just kind of lets it exist on its own plane here. So it kind of knocks in the background, kind of adds that misty look to it. These trees are so far in the background, there's no reason to add any sort of snow or anything to them. I'm going to go back to my vertical brush here. Make sure I grab the same sky color. And we'll add... Actually, you know what? I'm going to keep this one short. If I was to make a whole painting out of this, I would add more trees over here and stuff. But this is more of a demonstration how to do winter trees, so I think I'm going to leave it like that. I might go in and add some... Normally I'd be using, if I was in actual traditional paint, I would take my 2-inch brush and just kind of smash that color all the way along the side to kind of add some more background trees there. I have different brushes. We can use a bush brush to do that. We can use this brush. This one's called Pine Trees 2. And we can just kind of take this and just kind of push it like so and just kind of add some different shapes. Then we can take this brush here. This one is going to add just little shapes. I'm going to take my awesome blender. This is just to add a little bit of, if you want to add a little more shape here to the background, you can. And I'm blending most of that out. Just like some really far background shapes. It's almost like abstract. Like so. Then you can leave that color there. I can come back here and I can add. I'm going to take my, that's the wrong brush. Where is it? There we go, Far Trees brush. I'm going to grab that color of my Far Trees brush. I'm just going to add a little bit of shape in here like this. Oops, not there. Make this smaller. Like that. Just adds a little bit of tree line, and then I'm going to go back to my awesome blender one more time. And just kind of blend some of those out a little bit, so it doesn't look so sharp. This will kind of knock them more in the background and make it look more misty. So there's just a couple tricks you can do to add some details in the far background. Alright, so now if you want to add trees into the foreground, first we probably should lay down some snow here. For the snow, I'm going to use the same color as I have in the sky. You don't want to use like white. I mean, for some parts you can have white, but you want to really reserve that. Just deciding. My foam brush here, this is called my foam, what does that say? Foam load something knife. I can't remember. I think I called it foam loader knife or something. I usually use this for making like the foam on water, especially for like waves that are coming up on the beach. It works really good for that, for blending out foam. So for example, how I normally use this brush for foam is I'd come in here and this would be like, you know, the edge of the foam like that, and then I would kind of pull this back like this, back into the water and kind of make a couple little streaks like that. Works really good for that. But I think it'll work good for snow as well, so we're going to try it for snow. I'm debating whether or not I want to make this a little bit lighter. Yeah, Bob Ross was a cool dude. I think one of the reasons I really liked Bob Ross is that we shared a lot in common. With like I really love, you know, animals and stuff like that. Like I've had a bird when I was a kid because it was hurt, so I went and got it and tried to help it back to life. And I love being in nature like that, like around squirrels and stuff. I can just like sit around squirrels and just watch them. So you want to just kind of pull this kind of hard like that, and kind of makes that kind of mountainy kind of shape, and then you want to come back in and just go over it a couple more times to blend it out. So has a really good blender on it as well, so you can just blend those right out, because you don't want too much, you don't want detail like that in your snow. Now I'm taking this color here and I'm just kind of pulling that down like this and making a hill right here. So imagine that's a hill, and this right here is a hill as well. So I'm going to add a little more white. I'm going to go a little bit brighter than that. I want to add a little bit bright, there we go, along this side like that, and we'll go over this ridge. This is where you got to decide, you know, where the hills are and stuff. This is the fun part about snow. You can decide all this on your own. So you can decide where the valleys and ridges are in the snow. So see, I put more snow and brightness where I want And I'm painting with the direction too. I'm pulling in the direction of the shapes. But notice where I have more brightness, that pops up and that's like a hill. Whereas where I have more of the darkness, like right here, that's a valley. So the brighter parts will be hills, and the darker parts are going to be valleys. Because it's a natural thing that happens with color, or I should say with tone. And look at that. See, I just kind of smash it like that, and then kind of just go back and forth lightly, and see how it creates all these little shapes in the snow. It's really cool. Really good brush for snow. But yeah, so anyway, when something's brighter, it naturally pops out at us. It comes toward us. When something's darker, it recedes away from us. So that's, you can do like that. You can do any kind of shapes you want. You could have a, road going through here, like a little walkway or something. This is not like an actual painting. I didn't intend for this to be an actual finished painting. More of just a demonstration on how to do some things for winter, like how to do some snow, how to use these brushes for snow. I might do an actual winter scene here soon, like an actual painting of winter scene. Just to give an idea of what these brushes can do. Here's a winter scene I painted with these brushes in the software. This is based on a Bob Ross painting. It's actually the one that shows up. Let me show you here real quick. So this is based on Bob Ross Season 1 Episode 4. So if you go check out on YouTube, check out Bob Ross Season 1 Episode 4. This is my rendition of that painting that he did on that episode, but I did it with this software. This one had really detailed clouds, so I wanted to kind of that took quite a while to do the clouds. Overall, I think this painting only took an hour and a half though. So and I added this little girl down here in it. That's not in the actual original. But yeah, so I might do a painting like that soon. Let me go and see who. I think that was a subscribe sound. Sorry, I wasn't looking at the thing. Hey Dina, thank you for the subscription. Appreciate that. Alright, cool. So there we go. If you have any requests during this show, please let me know. Like if you want me to do something particular in this little demonstration, let me know what you want to see me do. Like that has to relate to the snow scene, and I can, see if I can't incorporate that into it. So another thing I wanted to do is some like foreground trees. So I'll do some foreground trees maybe over here on the left, because this is kind of bare over here. We could have done a cabin or something, but let's go ahead and do these type of trees, but in the foreground. So the same thing, we're going to start with the vertical. We're going to start with this color, but we're going to go darker because when things get closer to us, there's less atmosphere between us and the objects, and so they appear with more contrast. In other words, they appear darker. Darker colors appear darker, and brighter colors appear brighter. And I think I'm going to go ahead and add one big tree right here. And I don't think we want that tree to be alone. As Bob Ross would say, he at least needs a friend. We'll say this is husband and wife. We'll draw a husband and wife tree. Just like that. And you can use my vertical brush or this brush. This one allows you to rotate. So if you have a tablet that allows you to do rotation, this one has rotation. My horizontal one doesn't allow you to rotate. It stays flat, and this is good for different kinds of trees. So I'm going to use the, for this one I'll use horizontal, and then how about for the next one, the one next to it, the wife. I'm assuming the wife is shorter than the man. I know that's not always the case, but in this case, it is the case. I'm going to come down like this. Oops. Sometimes I start my trees like this. It just gives me a base to work with, something to visualize as I come down, so I know where to put my branches. Kind of go like this. On each of these, I'm pushing out kind of hard with the brush. Ooh, that's a little too much. Like I just want to add a little bit of detail there, so I'm just kind of tapping with the brush and kind of pushing it down a little bit. Now, if you're working with a traditional brush, it's a little backwards. If you're working traditionally right now, you wouldn't be pushing the brush down. You'd be pushing kind of up on the canvas with your fan brush. Forgot what I was talking about. And so this kind of adds just like a different shape to the tree here. Gives me a base to work with, and it gives it a different kind of tree when I start with that kind of shape there. Now I'm just kind of tapping this brush down, I want those textures to really come through. Something like so. I think I like that. Now I'm going to go and do the wife, and I'm going to do the wife with the Pinewood tree here. This allows me to turn it. Notice also the bristles are facing upward. I don't want that because I don't want them to be two different looking trees. These ones I did the bristles facing upwards with this brush, but this one the bristles are facing down. I also want this one to face down because there are two trees that are the same next to each other. To do that, you click on this little icon right here. This is the brush icon. Then click on this little orange square. And I think I just got to unclick that, and that should now flip it down. There you go. Now it's flipped down. And I'm going to start at a slight angle here. Notice I'm going at an angle now. See that? I'm putting my shapes at a slight angle instead of just straight horizontally. So some of them at a slight angle, like so. Just makes the tree look a little bit different. Now I'm going to go and fill that in with a little more branches. And a few more in the middle here. I use the brackets. So on my tablet, I have two buttons on my tablet. I'm using a Cintiq 13X, or actually this is just a Cintiq 13. I got the new one now. And what I'm doing is I'm just kind of adjusting I have two buttons that are acting like the brackets on your keyboard. The brackets are the two that are next to the P on the keyboard. I got a little hair there on my microphone. So that's a good base. You want to start with a dark color. So I recommend whatever kind of on a snow scene, whatever your darker sky color is, grab that color and then make it a lot darker so it really pops it into the foreground. And then we got to add some blue to it, and then finally after that we'll add some snow. I would hope so, Doll. I would hope so. I think he would. I think Bob Ross would like this. I really think he would have loved this software. He could have just sat on his couch, and use this software on a tablet. All right, let's see. Let's go ahead and use the same horizontal brush now. And I'm going to take the exact same color we've been using, except I want to change the blue a little bit. So we want this blue to pop out a little bit more. What Bob Ross would have done traditionally is he would have painted all this back. All the sky would have been painted with something like, what's that blue called? Not phthalo blue. Phthalo blue is what he would use in the foreground because phthalo blue pops out more. So that phthalo blue is what he'd use right now. He'd mix phthalo blue and like a little bit of red to kind of maybe purple it up, and then a little bit of white, or he'd just use phthalo blue and white in this foreground. Maybe he'd gray it out a little bit. That would make the trees pop in the foreground. The background blue he uses ultramarine blue. So, all right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this a little bit bluer. Notice we were working up here. I'm going to go more toward the purple, like down here with the blue, and then we're going to go more over here with it. Let me see how bright that is. That's pretty good. I might even go over here more. Let me see what this looks like. Yeah, see that pops out pretty good. Okay, too. I think I'm going to go somewhere around there. I recommend testing it a few times, see how it works. And then we're going to do the exact same thing we did before, except now we're going to keep our brush a little bit smaller, and we're going to work on more on just one side of the tree. So we don't want the whole tree, and we also want to leave space between this. So notice I'm leaving dark space between each branch I'm painting on here. So when I push this color, I want to make sure, I'm going to go smaller as I go up, I leave some dark in between there. When you get to the top, you can leave it mostly dark. Let's add a couple more. So I'm careful to leave dark in between this. And then we'll also do the mother tree here. And this gives wild places for animals to live and hide and have fun. I might add a couple more like that. Sometimes what I do is I take another color, like let's say this kind of pinkish color here. And I'm going to come on the other side of my tree. I just want to add a few little, in the shadows here, a little bit of detail in the shadows. It just adds a little more depth to the trees in the foreground, because these are the ones that people are really going to be paying attention to. Like that. And we'll go ahead and blend this out at the bottom there. We'll cover it up with some snow or something. Kind of make it blend into the, because right now it just looks like it's setting there, and so we can blend that in very easily with either some bushes or some snow. And naturally, if it's a winter and there's snow on the ground, there's probably going to be some snow on the trees. And so now I'm going to take the exact same color as the snow, and we're going to add a little bit of snow to the trees. Now you can use this exact same brush if you want, and just add some shapes here first just to get started. I'm kind of pushing, and I'm lightly pushing down with this brush. You can also lightly push left or right, just because it won't paint if you just tap it. You gotta kind of push in a direction with it. And this is typically, I would use, if I was working traditionally right now, I would do all this with just a fan brush. So that's why I'm using all the same brush right now. Because I would do the same thing if I was working traditionally. This would all just be done with one fan brush. Something like that. Now if you want to add more, if you want more detail and you want to add more clumps, you can do that with a different brush. You wouldn't want to use this one. You can use something like the mountain brush, or you can even use the knife brush for that. The knife brush I use for. Let's see here. Textured knife. This is what I use for mountains. So whenever I want to do the snow on mountains, this is the brush I use. You just make it a lot smaller, make it a little bit brighter, make the snow just a little bit brighter, and you can add just a couple little more clumps. Because sometimes some branches will get heavy, they'll have a little more clumps on them. I'm just kind of taking the shapes I already created that I see on the tree already, and I'm just kind of emphasizing some of them. I'm gonna add a big old clump of snow to the top of this tree here. Sometimes snow will just clump up right to the top of the tree, something like that. Just kind of break it up a little bit. Same thing with the mother tree. I want her to kind of have more snow clumped up here as well, making the brush a little bit bigger as I go. And as you can see, this is what I love about this style of painting. It's very abstract. You're not trying to create exact details that you would see in real life. You're just trying to create a representation, and you can get very abstract with it. And as long as it kind of still resembles the overall shapes you're going for, it looks good. Something like that. Then I'm going to go back to my foam brush here. This is the same one we used to do the snow. And I'm going to kind of take that snow color. I'm going to come right back over the bottoms of these. We'll add some snow around there. We can go a little bit brighter, make this brush a little bit smaller, and I'm going to kind of pull. This will be like a little mound of snow right there. So wherever I put the brighter color, that's the side that has more snow on it. Maybe there's a little bit of snow built up over here, but this side is where the shadows are. So I'm going to take a kind of shadow color here, kind of mound that snow up, and I'm going to put a dark color on this side, like so. See that? Well, now we got some mounds of snow. Kind of pull that out like that, where kids can play and jump in. And that's typically happens, they kind of lumps up around the tree like that. I'm just kind of going by imagination what I remember, it looking like. So that's pretty much, when you're doing snow scenes, this is what you'll be doing a lot of. Really cool trees in the background like that, cool trees in the foreground with more detail. You can even make a Christmas time. We can add some lights to this tree and light it up. I can show some cool techniques with that. That'd be kind of fun, I think. Let's see here. Just going back and looking at the questions here. Can you blend the color of paint that has already been used in the painting? Yeah, you can. I'll demonstrate that right here in just a second. And then how would you draw something like a cabin or building using this brush set, if you don't mind me asking? Yeah, we can do like a little cabin or something too. I'm gonna work on another layer for that because I'm probably not going to keep that in there. But first, let me just show you with blending. So there's some brushes that blend more than others. Over here you have all these different options to change the brush. I highly recommend messing around with all of these and getting familiar with them, like the amount of color that's on your brush, the amount of blur it has, and and there's some brushes that just standard come with it. So you can take some of these standard brushes that come with the software. After you install mine, you have all these ones that are already there. And let's see here. I'm looking for one that has. Actually, I'm gonna go to my abstract brush here. So I haven't put these on my website yet. They're my normal painting brushes. I have this abstract brush I made that I really like a lot. I'm gonna go on a new layer here so I can show you what I'm talking about. So let's say I take this kind of orange color here and I put it down. I can then blend that color into these other colors by lightly touching it. See, if I just lightly touch, not every brush does this, it has to have that property into it, but see, it kind of picks up the colors underneath, and you kind of blend those together. Notice my color is still really bright orange. I'm just lightly touching it, and that's allowing me to pick up some of that color underneath. As you can see that. So if I just lightly touch it, it picks up some of that blue. If I press hard, I get the actual color. So I can just add a little bit of orange and kind of pick up that color underneath, like that. And you could actually change the properties, how much color you want it to pick up underneath. As you can see there, I picked up a lot of that color underneath. Then if I use another color like this color here, I can blend right in there. You see that? It blends right on top, and I lightly touch it, and it picks up some of that color underneath. Push a little bit harder, and then lighter. So I push hard to lay some color down, press lighter, and I can move that color and kind of blend it around. Take some of this purple, and add that right in there. I can take some green, and look at that, it'll blend right in. Over here, add some green over here. See that? Just a little bit of green, and then blend it in, and it picks up all the color underneath. So see how different, if I have this kind of peach color, watch how different green blends into that. I kind of blend that in there. That blends in different than over here. Oops, go back to green. See, it blends in different over here if I lightly touch it, like so. This is one of my favorite brushes to paint with. I really love this brush. I can really get all different kinds of cool shapes with it. Really good for abstract. Alright, let's go ahead and delete that layer. This allows you to mess around. Yeah, it really has a nice, some of these brushes blend really nicely. The closest one to that brush is probably, that one's not stock. I do plan on putting these brushes up on my site. I use these for regular painting. This is for like doing more either abstract or like paintings of like figure painting and things like that. More I guess fine art painting. Let me get a brush here that, I'm trying to find one that's standard with the software that's similar to that. There is one that's similar. See, this one has a nice blend to it. It kind of adds almost like oily smear. And notice it only applied the color one time. Notice it's not applying color no more. Now it's just smearing. So the first stroke with that brush, and I think you can reset it. I can't remember how to reset it though. You can just pick a different brush and pick back on it again. That resets it. But there's a key you press, and it basically cleans the brush or reloads the brush. So this brush needs to be loaded every time. You can just push the color and it loads it. See that? And if I pick a different color, it loads the brush up again. But as I keep painting, you see it ran out. There's no more paint on my brush. Now it's just blending. And this is these are kind of cool brushes. So they're preloaded. And then every time you want to make a mark, you have to load the brush. Kind of interesting brush, but let's see here. What's one that works similar to my abstract brush? I think it's in here somewhere. All these brushes are really nice. These ones are called flat bristle brushes. These ones are really nice. I like these a lot. They pick up some color underneath. As you can see, when you go light, you go dark, you can put the actual color down. Some of these are really nice. There we go. This one's really similar to my brush. So I'm gonna add some of this color. I can take some of this color and I can go back into it. This one's really smeary though. This one's a lot more smeary than mine. But you can get some really nice oil effects with it. Okay. There we go. Back to, oh yeah, the guy wanted to see a barn, right? So I recommend using some of these kinds of brushes. Are really nice for that, to do like barns. In fact, we're going to use this one, stock brush here under the flat bristle brushes. It's the fourth one down. Let me see, what about this one? That one's kind of cool too. We'll use this one. So typically Bob Ross would scrape out with a knife like the basic shape of a barn he wanted. We don't have to do that because we're working, digitally. We could start with a darker color though. I know he would like to go with it like almost like a brown color for the barn, even though it's wintertime and brown doesn't really look like brown, but he really liked to just stick with the actual colors that things were. What's good about this brush is it's flat. See how I can turn it around? I can make an angle like that, or I can make a straight like that. See? It all depends on how. If I pull straight down, it's like this. If I turn my wrist like this, it's up and down. Now I can make a thin line. And I can make thin lines at an angle. So this is very similar to using a knife brush here. And this allows you to pull out different things and make your shapes. So if we wanted to make a little barn here, I'm not going to do nothing fancy, but We can pull a shape like that. We can pull a shape over here like this. Maybe we'll have a little up and down like here. And then we can pull like that and then come straight down here. I'm going to come off with the angle like so. So you can like, you know, start to shape it out this way with the brush. Let's say I want all this to be kind of pull out, very similar to how if I was working with a knife right here. Just kind of shape out some of this, pull this straight down like that. Pull all of this straight down. Actually, I'm going to get rid of that over there. I'm just going to kind of have it like that for right now. I'm going to pull very lightly and pull all this straight down to kind of blend those colors more. And you can see you can start to get something. Let's see here. I'm just trying to think of the angles I want. So we'll have that one come like this. We're going to overshoot it because we can come back with the snow, kind of like Bob Ross would do. And he would come back with snow and figure some of that out. But with this brush, you can actually get a lot of your details just done right away. I have the darker over there. I have a lighter over here. And then we can add, you know, our boards to it or details to it. You can actually follow along with these brushes and pretty much do exactly as Bob Ross does in the painting, like use the same techniques or very similar, something like that. And then let's say I want a dark door here. We can go we can work in sections too. Like we can go and add more detail. Like I can make this brush smaller, or we can go back to my Bob Ross brushes here, and I can use like the textured brush. And then working like this, like we can make slabs of, so make this color here, maybe go a little bit darker and come straight down like that, or make it more brown. So we can go over here to more of a brown. So brown in the snow scene, brown to me is going to be kind of like I take the blue and I start going toward red, because brown would actually be up here somewhere. I just start going toward where I know brown is, and I just keep it very desaturated, and that's going to give you something similar to brown in the winter. So you can come straight down. You can just kind of indicate, you know, some markings, and then have lighter markings if you want a couple lighter slabs. You can go in and get more detail with it as well. So you can zoom in if you wanted to and work really, you know, get really detailed with it. I'm just kind of showing you a really quick idea. And then on this side over here, I'm going to leave it more like that, more like disheveled. And that's pretty good. Let's go back to that one brush here. Go back to flat bristle brush, the same one we were using. Using this dark color, I'm going to just kind of reshape all this back in really fast. Like so. I'm going to add. So sometimes, see how it's default like this? It's really hard. I have to turn my arm like all the way like this to draw. I don't like that to paint, because right now it's horizontal. So you can click on the brush here, click on that icon right here at the bottom, and I'm going to click, I think it is this one here. Let me see if that changes. Yeah, see now now it's still horizontal. Hold on. Oh, that's right. I think I have to go like this. I think I have to click this a couple times. I think I have to actually turn it to be horizontal. Yeah, so whatever it is, we want to make it the opposite. So now it's horizontal, and see now it's going to be vertical. So now I can easily make vertical lines. And this allows me to quickly come in here. You can also make another copy of that brush. So if you like the vertical brush, you can make another copy of it by just clicking new brush here. And that brush is the same as the one I was just using, except now it's horizontal, or it's vertical like this. Whereas the other one, go back to the other brush I was just using. This one is going to be, oh that's right, I have to set it back. So I'm going to set this one back to horizontal, which means it's going to be vertical. It's kind of weird, it's backwards for some reason. Okay, so that one's going to be horizontal like this, and then this one is going to be vertical like so. Same brush, just different orientation. I'm gonna bring it back up here now. I'm dragging it. So left mouse click and drag it up here. I'm going to drop it right above that brush. So now I have two brushes that are exactly the same. One's this way and one's this way by default. It just makes it easier for me to grab the brushes and mess with them. Okay, so this one I'm going to use to make slabs going up and down. Like so. Remember, this is way off in the distance, so We'll add some snow on it too in a second. I'm gonna add a little box right here. I don't know what this is. It's just something. I don't know what it is. It's abstract right now. It's something though. Something on the edge, all broken. And then I'm gonna take the this one again. Now I can re-put the, because this is going to be at a slight perspective, so the door is actually going to be at a slight angle like that because it's in perspective. Something like that. You can add the shapes to this. You can come down here, make this be another side, and then you can come off of this with another little roof like that, and come across like this, and then come down like this, and then make that be the roof like that. So it's like another little side roof. You can make whatever shapes you want. And then if we want to add some snow on top of the roof, we can do that with this brush. I'm going to mark in the two parts where the roof starts, so I get a nice straight line. Use my other brush here. This makes it easier to do this. Same brush, just a different orientation I just showed you how to do. So this is how Bob Ross would have done it. He would have lined it with his knife first, and then he takes his knife and pulls it down like that because it's going to make it easier to get a straight line. I'm going to make this really big so I can just pull it a couple times. Oh, that's too far. This was good about digital. Your happy mistakes can go bye-bye. You don't have to keep them. You don't have to keep your happy mistakes. I'm just going to kind of push down a little bit right here to kind of add some snow that's stacked up on this side. And then make the brush a little bit smaller. And I'm going to add a little bit of snow right on top of this object here. I don't know what that object is, but it has some snow on it. Maybe there's a little bit of snow on tops of those like that. Anyway, so something like that, just really quickly knock it in there. I would probably go and add more detail to this, but I think this is fine. Maybe add a little bit of texture on the side here, like so. Just kind of scraping it sideways. Oops, to add some quick texture. I might even, show this side being less dark like that. Maybe even show some, I don't know, some abstract shape in there, so it doesn't look completely dark. Something like that. And I'm going to go back to the Bob Ross brushes here. I'm going to go back to my foam brush. That's the brush I've been using to make the snow. Now we can cut right back into here and add some snow stacking up on the edge of the... I'm going to take this color though. I'm going to kind of pull out. There's a little bit of darkness here. There we go. That way it kind of looks like it's settling in. I'm going to take this darker color, darker blue color over here. Just kind of push some of this snow like so. I'm going to go sideways now. Just going to kind of push out like that. That would, I don't know, little walkway there, I guess. Kind of push the snow up on some sides that it's collected here and there. You could even make it look like ice by adding little reflections into it. So similar to how you do water. So if you wanted all this to kind of look like let's say just this part right here, got a little more color there. There we go. So let's say just this little pathway we wanted to look like it had frozen over and it's a little bit icy. You can do that too by just taking whatever colors are in the barn here and just kind of pull straight down with this brush very lightly, just to add some of that color in there. We'll add some of this color as well, just pulling straight down. And then we're going to go back horizontally, make it smaller, take the blue color, and we're going to go back horizontally over that, like little lines. And just like that, you have something that looks like ice. And I'm going to take some of the snow and I'm going to kind of let it fall over here like that, just kind of little circles. Just kind of make the snow kind of gather up like that. like it fell over on top of the ice a little bit. So now it kind of looks like ice. Pretty easy to do. It's really neat. Like there's a lot of cool techniques that you can do that are really easy to do. Like they don't take them. They only took a couple brush strokes, and now it looks like ice. And it really just it takes learning these little techniques. You pick up along the way. That barn really looks short though. I should have made it taller. Like this is really short. It almost looks like the barn is, I don't know, partway buried in the snow to me. So I would have made this taller, I think, if I was doing this for real. But that was just, kind of show you how it looks. We can always make it taller. I can always, extend this downward and paint it, or lift it up, because it's on its own layer. So I could actually just take this and lift it up here, like that, and then I can paint all this down and make it taller. But I'm not really worried about doing that. I think I'm just going to leave it. And then you can always, get rid of it altogether. I might go ahead and leave it there. It looks weird to me because I didn't, it's a really quick demonstration, but this whole painting is just a demonstration. It's not meant to be something I'm going to keep. Other things you can do is like you can add little sticks and stuff like that. Different brushes you can do that with. One of the brushes I like was that default one we were working with, the flat bristle brushes. So I took that. This is the standard flat bristle brush that comes with the software. This is the same brush. Remember, all I did was I opened this up here. That is, I clicked on this little icon that has the brush shape. I clicked on that little orange square right there with the little dots around it, or the little dashes around it. And then I just changed it, instead of up and down, I changed it to horizontal. Remember, that's all I did. And I'm going to go back where I had this one. Then I clicked OK, and then I clicked down here and made a copy of that brush. So now I have two copies of the same brush in different orientations. So this one allows me to paint up and down really easy. And notice how if I take a dark color like the sky color up here, if I pull straight down and I pull hard, notice it makes a nice hard line. So I can use this to make little sticks and stuff. But notice if I pull lightly, look at that. It's pulling up the colors underneath. See how it's not, see there's dark and there's pulling lighter, and I'll pull even lighter. See that? By pulling lighter, if I pull darker again and I pull light, see, I get different types of colors there. So let's go ahead and what if there was on the property here, I'm going to start, some of these I'm going to pull light, some of them I'm going to pull dark. And I'm also pulling kind of fast. As I get more in the foreground, I'm going to make them bigger. And notice I'm making them a little bit off centered here. I'm going to make this one a lot wider by pulling it sideways like that. This one too. What I mean by that is I'm not making them all straight up and down. Some of them I have at a slight angle, so they're not all the same. So that looks kind of cool. And then I'm going to go back to this brush, and I'm going to take some of that white color around some of the bottoms of these. I just want to put little marks so it looks like they've been stuck in the ground. And that's where a little snow is built up. You can take your time with this and make this a lot more detailed, but I just want a few little parts where it looks like snow had kind of built up. Little shadows. You can also make shadows coming off this to decide where the light's coming from. We know the light is coming more from the right, so our shadows would actually be going almost straight down like this and to the left like that, but I'd have to do that on a separate layer. So you can make another layer if you want. Drag that layer, left click and drag it down. Okay, for some reason it's not letting me drag these layers. Let me try my mouse. My pin's not letting me drag the layer for some reason. And then you can grab and you can just make the snow and just kind of bend the shadows. See, I'm not keeping them straight because remember we're on a hill, and because we're on a hill, the shadows are going to come at an angle as well. So if I went straight out like that, that would look wrong, right? Because the hill is bending, so the shadow is going to bend with the terrain. So this hill is going down, the shadow is going to go down with the hill. Like that. So they have a little bit of a couple shadows. I'm going to get a little bit darker color here so I can see these shadows. That's a little bit too dark. Oops. There we go. A couple shadows in the foreground. I'm going to kind of blend those. There we go. Just kind of blending that shadow out. That's on a whole different layer, so I can easily blend these without messing up anything else. Because see, it's on its own separate layer. Something like that. Now I got what looks like maybe, I don't know, an old fence or something, or at least poles, and then I can take my other brush, which is the same brush as this one, but horizontal, and I can just kind of boom, like so. So notice that if I kind of push lightly, see how it almost like smears instead of paints? And if I kind of start kind of hard, pushing a little bit harder, and then get lighter as I go out, see how it kind of smeared there at the end? And so I have this natural dark to light without having to paint it. Okay, hold on. This is kind of a tricky angle. So it kind of gets smaller and it kind of gets lighter as it goes back there. So that's pretty cool. Let's go back to our Bob Ross brushes. Too many S's. I'm going to go back to my foam texture. I'm going to go to my knife texture brush. I'm going to keep it really small. I'm going to grab some of the snow color, and we're just going to pile some of the snow on these poles here. Just little dabs of snow. I'm going to make my brush vertical now. And I'm going to take a little bit of that snow and just kind of run across the top of here. I want to be careful to leave some of the dark, because if I get rid of all the dark, it won't look right. And notice I'm not trying to pack it on a perfect line, because snow doesn't stack at a perfect line. It kind of stacks, and some of it falls off and stuff, so that's a quick way to do it like that. Maybe there's a couple little snow that fell down from the poles onto the ground. Little piles like that. Just lightly touching. Like so. And we can use those same brushes to make sticks in the ground too. So another one I like to use for sticks in the ground, actually my Bob Ross brushes, is Mountain Brush. This one's really good too at smearing colors. If I see how I can smear color around by lightly pushing it. I'm going to make this brush really tiny. This is what I usually use to do little sticks and stuff. So I can take this dark color, and I can pop some little sticks sticking out here and there. Maybe there's some little growth on the edge of some of these. And sometimes just little places here and there you can actually just take, a couple little growth here and there sticking out of the snow. I wasn't intending this to look like a painting. It was supposed to just be a quick demonstration, but it's starting to look like something. It's starting to look like it could be a scene. If there's anything else you guys want to see how to do for this demonstration, let me know. I'm thinking what are the cool little things we can add in here. I can add little rocks. So rocks are kind of cool. I wish the software program, I've actually talked to them to see if they would do this, allow double loading on a brush. That'd be really cool. Because a lot of Bob Ross's techniques are double loading. So like for example, he would take one of his a flat brush, or even a round brush sometimes, but usually it's a flat brush, and he would load one half with, let's say, a lighter color paint and the other half with a darker color. So then you just go like this and paint a little swoosh, and you got a rock where the top is light and the bottom's dark. Yeah, I thought about doing that, making a how to paint Bob Ross digitally. I'm not sure what I would call it. It needs to be something that makes sense, where people know, okay, I know I'm painting like Bob Ross, but it's not going to be traditionally, it's going to be digitally. So instead, because I don't have a double loaded brush, I don't think it'd be that hard to program either. Because right now you click a brush, you click a color, they can just make a little double loaded window where all you do is you click the left side and click a color, click the right side of the brush, click a color. So you're just loading each side of the brush, and then you can paint with it. That'd be really cool. But because we don't have that, we have to make 2 brush strokes instead of 1 brush stroke. I'm going to take this kind of purplish gray color in the background here. You see that back there? We're going to use that as a base color for a rock, but I'll make it a little bit darker. Just make some dark colors like so. And this sometimes Bob Brush does it this way too. He'll come over and he'll make some dark dark marks first, and that's going to be some rocks. And then I'm going to take the whitish color here for our snow, but I'm going to kind of turn it more toward purple like that, make my brush a little bit smaller, and I'm going to make another mark right on top, like this, and to the side a little bit. So that can be like little rocks sticking out of the snow, and then you can go back in. Still using the mountain brush here, I can just add a little bit of snow to the bottom. To make it look like it's setting in there more, you want to kind of cover the rock up a little bit so it looks like it's kind of setting in the snow. I'm going to go back to my foam brush now. And on this side of the rock, I'm going to make little darker mounds. So like that, and you can kind of make it look like the rocks are living in the snow there. Just kind of cover up the edges and kind of blur them out a little bit like that. And they look like they live there now. See, by that little bit of edge blurring, I'm very lightly touching with this brush on the edges of the rock to kind of make it look like it's blended in there. And sometimes you can almost see the color bleeding through, and that makes it kind of look like you can almost see through some of the snow and you can see what's underneath there. But that kind of makes it look like there's something here, like with rocks or something, like all this is built up. I don't know, maybe there was a path. Maybe they used the rocks to build a path or something. I had no idea. I had no idea why I was doing that, so I was just doing it to show. But now I'm trying to think of an excuse of why it's there. Why does this exist in the world? So let's just go with that idea. Maybe they made a path right here, and they use little rocks to build it, something like that. And it gets small as it goes around over there. Now I'm painting more the right side of the rock, because remember the light's coming from the right side like that. I'm going to take my foam brush. Let's go back and just kind of blend some of this into the... Oh, actually I want to take my mountain brush. I want to take that lighter color. I want to add a little mark right in front of the rocks like that first. Then I'm going to take my foam brush. I'm really using my foam brush as a blender right now, because I'm just lightly touching. I'm just kind of blending these colors together on the edges. That way it looks like the rocks are living inside the snow. Otherwise it just looks like they're painted on top, and the whole goal is to make it look like they're naturally existing in the world. Like that. Yeah, you can do that. Like if you know that if you're not sure, like I recommend when you first start painting to paint on layers. Like right now I painted all that in one layer, see? So all that was on one layer, and then all of this is on one layer. I recommend if you're not sure how big you want an object, to paint everything that's a separate object on separate layers at first, just to get used to it. Usually I only use one layer. I just paint like traditionally, like one layer. But sometimes I'll create a separate layer if I'm not sure whether I want that thing there or not. But I recommend at first to use a lot of layers. That way you can easily change the size of things. And I recommend starting bigger, because it's easier to make something smaller than it is to make it bigger. If you try to make it too much bigger, you'll lose detail. Not too big of a deal. What I recommend doing is doing a sketch of what you want first and make sure it's kind of working, and then change the size before you do final painting on it. Let's say this barn though, for example, let's say I wanted it to be bigger. I can use the lasso tool, come around the barn like this. This is also going to make everything I'm lassoing bigger. So I'm going to try to just lasso the barn like this. I'm going to try not to lasso much of the snow. Then you can go to Edit and go to Free Transform. Now when you free transform, you can make it taller, you can make it wider, you can make it shorter, you can change the shape, or you can hold down the Shift key, and now you're only going to change how big it is, but it's going to stay in the proportions that you drew it. Oh, hold on, is it Shift? Where's Shift? There we go, Shift, sorry. Let me go and undo that real quick. Cancel that. Try that again. Edit, Free Transform. I'm going to hold down Shift. There we go. There's my Shift. Now I can make it bigger or smaller. But let's say I only wanted to make it taller. I can just grab this top link and I can pull it up taller, like so. I can also change the angle. Whenever you do this kind of stuff though in a painting that's like getting closer to being done, that's what I recommend in the sketching stage, to figure all that out. Because now I have to come through all here and I have to like I have to make sure this all fits into the painting again. So I can take this brush here, I can add some snow, take my textured mountain knife brush here, add some snow back into here, kind of stack up against the wall. You can actually pull some snow up onto the barn like this. That's actually a good idea. I'm going to take some of the snow and just kind of push up on the edge of the barn here. Sometimes snow kicks up like that. I'm going to kind of smear this real quick with this brush. Going back to the foam brush, the same brush we've been doing snow with. There we go. Kind of smearing. So you have to come back in and kind of rework some stuff when you change a big thing like that. But now it's taller, it looks a little bit cooler maybe. But yeah, so that's one way to do it. I think there's infinite layers. It just comes down to how much memory you have in your on your hardware. So if you're using, I don't really like this right here. Hold on a second. I'm gonna kind of change. That's bugging me. The shape of the shape of that's bugging me. So I'm gonna kind of smear that out a little bit. There we go. I can always go back in and add more detail. That was just done with one stroke. You can go back in and add more detail. So I can take my textured brush here and add more white. I can just come on here. That's a little bit too white. Hold on. So anyway, I'm pretty sure there's infinite layers, and it depends on how your hardware is. So the more layers you add, if your computer isn't super fast, it'll start slowing your computer down. So I don't recommend using too many layers, anyways. There's only going to be so many objects in a painting like this. You might have, this set of trees, another set of trees, some background trees, some background sky, midground, foreground, maybe a barn. So I can't see really going over 10 layers with this particular kind of painting, but you might. So I'm going to kind of add a little more detail to some of this background barn here. I'm going to use my texture knife brush for everything I'm about to do right now. I'm doing it with my texture knife brush. Just kind of changing the shape of some of this. I'm going to grab this color of the snow. I'm going to go up, just up a little bit. I just want a little bit brighter, not too much brighter. So I think that right there works. Okay, for some reason something's not working right. Hold on. Okay, there we go. I'm going to go across the top here first. I'm just lightly pressing this because I want some of that darker color to show through. So I want it to kind of look like textured, almost like how I do the mountains. If you haven't seen any of my other videos, I have other Bob Ross videos on my channel here where I've showed how to do like mountains and things like that. So if you missed the mountain one, you can go check that out and see how I do mountains. Very similar to how I just did that. I'm going back with this darker color now and just kind of adding some hard line to separate the two roofs there. Yeah, that looks kind of cool. I'm going to add dark right here as well, underneath there, because take some of this lighter color. I just want to add right here on the edge here, because see how that's dark right there? All that should be more lighter in color because it's the built up snow. So I just want to make sure that reads. All this right here is like snow piled up, so I'm going to pile some more snow right here and right there. Okay, cool. Just kind of looking over it, see if there's anything else. And now, typically, this is not a good composition because this is obviously the center of attention because how big it is and everything, and it's right in the center. I would have made this painting if I was actually doing a painting composition, because I had no idea I was gonna do this much stuff. I was just gonna do a bunch of little separate stuff existing on their own on canvas, but I would have moved the barn. I would have painted the barn right about here. That's where I would have painted the barn, and then I would have had a couple trees next to the barn here and here. But this right here would have been the center of focus. And then I would have these background trees here. Then I would have put a couple more trees right here, maybe a couple bushes, and then maybe I would have pulled this fence and kind of wrapped around more like this in the foreground. And then yeah, they're not gonna have the rocks. I could have had the rocks there or not, but that's what I probably would have did for composition wise. Yeah, it does, like, because yeah, you're right, because this shape right here kind of makes these kind of pop out more. Those three little mounds. And it kind of adds more shape here. Like this looks more flat. Like all this right here now reads more flat. And then you have this drop off right here. And we can add more. We can make this drop off more significant. Make it seem even bigger by adding a little bit of pile of snow up here. Using the textured knife brush right now, just kind of lightly putting that lighter color. You can make that ridge more pronounced, like that. Then I can take this darker color, and I can put it on the sides just a little bit here in between, and down here a little bit. Kind of make it read more like a hill. Go back to my foam brush. I might just kind of blend that out some more. Kind of changing the ground here a little bit. There we go. Cool. I can't think of trying to think of anything else that I can add to this that I'm forgetting that is good for winter scenes. That would come in handy. To know we got ice in there, we got snow, we got trees, background trees, got a little fence, rocks, little barn. We can throw some birds in the sky. That's birds in the sky is the same as doing any birds though. Birds are birds. So you just want to take a darker color and or a lighter color depending on what kind of bird it is and just, you know, paint the little bird shapes. I show that in a lot of different things. Hey, thanks for the follow there, Jewel Groves. And typically you don't want to, if you do snowman, that's a good idea. If you do birds, you don't want to just do one bird. You know, I would recommend doing 2, and if not 3, next to each other, like in groups. Yeah, let's do a new. I'm gonna flatten all this down because this looks fine to me. Layer. Let's go ahead and flatten all this down here. Merge layer down, and merge layer down. So now I'm back to one layer. I'm gonna make a new layer for my snowman, just in case I don't like the snowman. There's not a whole lot of room for the snowman. We could put it right here in front of the trees. We'll do that. We'll just smack them in front of the trees. I like using my mountain brush to lay in. Whenever I want to lay in like color, I like using my mountain brush. So I'm going to start with this kind of darker color here. We'll start with the base of the snowman. There. And then finally the head. Like so. So I'll start with something like that. Then I'm going to use my textured knife brush. And we'll go in and we'll start coming back. Now I'm going to add the light. Remember the light's coming from the top right hand side. So I want all that side to be lighter. So I'm kind of doing a sort of spherical. You could have done each sphere separately if you wanted to. That's another way to think about it. I'm just kind of rounding these out a little bit. If you don't know how to paint things like spheres and stuff, I have a whole course on the fundamentals of painting on my website. In fact, I probably should have been putting my site on here every now and again. Hold on a second. Let me go ahead and do that, just to make it easier for you guys. It's also in the description, but it's masterpaintingnow.com. There you go. That's where you can get my brushes. These brushes are free on my site, so you can grab those brushes for free. But also, I'll go back over here. Cool. But also, I have courses on there, and all my courses are on sale right now. They're only like $10. Normally, like $100 on Udemy. And oh yeah, I didn't even introduce myself in this video. So I'm Neil. I'm one of the top art instructors on Udemy. I have over 63,000 students right now, all happy students taking different courses of mine. My most popular course is my Anatomy for Figure Drawing, but I also have a course that's pretty popular. It's my most newest course, and it's the Fundamentals of Drawing. Now, the fundamentals of drawing are super important for painting as well, and so because those same techniques transfer over to painting, like how to think of structure, how to think of light and shadow, all that's really important. So that's a pretty good base, I think, for the snowman. And then I want to go in and add even lighter colors. So I'm going to grab this really light color since it's right next to the snowman. And we're going to add this lighter color now. So I'm just kind of building up in stages. That's probably going to be where the most light is hitting. And I'm thinking about the snowman being kind of dirtier snow, because sometimes when a snowman stands out for a while, the snow gets dirty. So that's what I'm thinking here. Maybe more dirty snow there. I'm going to kind of set him in the snow now by adding a mound of snow right here. And then add some. And now I'm going to take my foam brush. I'm going to kind of blend some of this out right here. So he just kind of fits right in there. Kind of blend some of the edges out as well. There we go. The base, the start of a snowman. I'm wondering if you can do a set shape like a white ball to start making a snowman. I can show you if you want. I can do a quick layer just to show how to do basically how to do like a sphere of snow. And then yeah, this is just how I like to paint. Like this is how I think of the whole structure, but you could break it down into 3 separate spheres, and I'll show you like how you can do that and think about it that way. Okay, cool. So now we got the base of a snowman. I kind of filled in the gap between here because I wanted it to look like it kind of set together. And then we can add little sticks and carrot and coals for the eyes. So let's go with this darker color over here. Using the mountain brush, I'll paint little eyeballs. Little coals that got stuck in. We just smashed some coals in his head, like so. Maybe an older carrot for his nose. I'm gonna add a little bit of dark color of that kind of brownish carrot. That's huge. That's a huge carrot. That looks more like, oh well, more like a stick. That's fine though. I'm gonna leave it like that. Notice I desaturated the colors a lot. So when I didn't come here and use a really saturated bright orange like this, because that doesn't look right. You know, we're in the snow, so everything is gonna be more desaturated. In a winter scene, everything is gonna look more desaturated. And lastly, we can add little arms. I'm gonna grab the barn color there, and we'll use this to add little sticks. A little bit bigger of a brush there. This one is going to be sticking on the other side. We won't see it sticking into the snow. It's going to be coming out the other side. I'm going to kind of have it come out like... I don't want it to go into the barn, so I'm going to have it come down like that. Otherwise, it's going to go into the barn and disappear. Then I'm going to have a little bit of lighter snow around that stick. And I think there'd be a little bit of a shadow, so I'm going to grab a little bit darker color here and kind of add the shadow to that stick, like that. Remember, the light's coming from the right hand. It's coming like toward and to the right, like that. There would be a little bit of shadow down here for this as well. Hold on a second. A little bit of shadow of the actual snowman would fall all along right here. But remember, it's kind of going that way, so it kind of, then the snow is being hit a lot. But there still would be a little bit of shadow like this. I'm going to kind of go like that. I'm going to take this darker color over here. I'm going to add a little bit of this to the snowman. Yeah, because all that would be kind of in shadow. snowman. Anyone else have trouble with the cursor when using Paintstorm on Mac? It often won't move out of the program. Do you mean like you're on two screens or something? And you want to move from one screen to the other? Is that what you mean? Or do you mean that that's the only way I can think of? Or you have it reduced like this, is what you mean? You have the whole screen reduced? Something like that maybe? You're trying to move it to a different program? Whoa, do I have two? Hold on, I have two copies of this open. That could be why my computer was going a little bit slower. There we go. Didn't know I had two copies of the same software open. Like going like this, see how my cursor changes when it goes out? I don't know if that's what you mean. Yeah, I never had the issue with the software, so I'm not sure what it could be. So I like the snowman. See that? No snowman, snowman. And the reason why he fits right into the scene is I'm using all the same colors that are already in the painting. And and whenever I paint anything, I'm keeping it very desaturated. All right, let's make another new layer. I'm going to show you guys just really quickly how to do a sphere. Because was it? I think Doll, you asked that, right? How to just do a sphere. So first thing, I'm going to start with my mountain brush to get the base color in the base of the sphere. I usually start with the middle tone. So let's go ahead and grab a middle tone, like let's say something like that. Some of our middle tone. I'm going to draw a big sphere over here. Now this is going to be a huge sphere in the background. I'm not going to keep it. This is just to demonstrate how to do it. So you start with the sphere shape like this. I'm using a very diamondy square brush, so it's not going to be a little bit harder to get a perfect sphere, but that's fine. Something like that. I'm not going to go for perfection right now. And then I want to take my, let's say my texture mountain brush, that's a good enough brush as any, and start adding in the different colors. So I'm going to take my lighter color, start here with a little circle like that, make it nice and hard, and then I'm going to come out and lightly touch and kind of smear out like this. Oops. Like that's where the light's hitting, and then I'm going to take a darker color, like something like this, and this will be the dark side of my sphere. Come through like that. And push hard at first, and then lightly press and blend it up and around into the mid-tone color. Like so, and that's how you get a ball. And then you can just stack three of those on top of each other. In fact, let's do that. Let's just make a copy of this layer here. To make a copy of it, I think this works in the software. Let me see. This might not work in the software. Nope, it doesn't work in the software. Can I copy the layer? Oh, you have to right click on it and duplicate layer. Right now I duplicate that layer, and then I'm going to go over here to edit, free transform, hold down the shift key, and change the size of this sphere. Stack it right on top like that, click OK, and that sets it. Right click on this layer, duplicate layer again, edit copy, or edit free transform, and hold down shift and reduce the size one more time for the head. This is going to be a giant snowman in the background. Huge. Like, think about how that's bigger than the barn. Like, if you think about where it's at in the painting, it's actually bigger than the barn. But that's fine, because I was just demonstrating how to do that. Then you can take a lighter color like this and start adding some of that color to the top head. And if you want to kind of blend these together, you can kind of go like, take that color right there and just kind of blend it together like that, see? Take that lighter color and kind of add that right there. Take these two colors and kind of just take this lighter color and kind of blend it up and fill in that gap, so the two color, so that way this shape is all becoming one shape now. Add a little bit of that brightness right there to kind of, there we go. Now that kind of looks like it's smashed together, so it's not just like spheres perfectly stacked on top of each other. And that's pretty much, you know, kind of what I did before, but I did it all in one go instead of in stages like this. But that's how my brain's thinking about it. And then that doesn't look good like that because it just looks really sharp. So I'm going to take my awesome blender brush and just kind of blend around the edges here so it kind of looks like it's smoky. You know, it looks like it's just kind of existing in the atmosphere back there. See that? Just kind of blending it all together. And I'm going to kind of take it bigger now and really just kind of go like this and just kind of blend it out. Now it looks like, ooh, that's kind of cool. I'm going to pull that up like that. I'm going to pull this, oh, there we go. Look at that. Looks like there's some snowstorm back there. Looks like yeah, that's cool. I like that. Kind of looks like a blizzard or something. Go back to my mountain brush here. What the hell? Let's go ahead and turn this into something. I'm going to take this color, make it less dark because it's in the background, remember? Give it some eyes. Maybe give it a coal smile. Well, can't really see the smile because it's at an angle to us, but you get the idea. And then slightly darker. Big snowman in the background. It's kind of funny. Yeah, this is I really love that. That's why I fell in love with this program when I first got it, and I just started messing around with it. I can't remember, I think someone asked me to try it, and so I was trying it out. And as I was messing with some of the brushes, how it blended the colors together felt so much like traditional paint. That's what made me originally like the software. And then I started messing around with it more and more. And I'm like, hey, you know what? I think this could actually replicate Bob Ross. And so I started messing around with that aspect of it. And then I started designing brushes for it. I started making different brushes that would imitate what I do with traditional oils for painting like Bob Ross. And then over time, I created all these brushes, and voila. Oh, you know what we can do? We can do a bush. Let's use my bush brushes here. I'm going to get rid of the snowman in the background. I do like him, though. He looks cool. He's huge, a giant snowman. He's so big, he's bigger than a barn. Like that, I don't know if that would be impossible to, like, could we even make a snowman that big? We probably could with, cranes and stuff. Big lattices, something to climb on. Let me go ahead and get rid of these layers. Alright, snowman's gone. So I'm going to use some of my bush brushes here. And let's see, I think it's number 3. Let me see. Number 4. So I think, just trying, see, I like using number 4 as a base, but for background bushes that's too detailed. Something like that. So take our dark color of the sky. Remember, we're pretty much working with the colors that are in the painting. So even though a bush is green, let's say it's a greenish bush, you're not going to paint it green. You might add a little bit of green to it, but let's say this is kind of in the foreground, like this. Runs along the hill there. So I'm doing little circles. Actually, this will be behind that fence, so I need to kind of go like that, add some of that, leave some of the fence there. So I'm pressing dark and light. I'm pressing light to get some of the edges, and then pressing darker to get some of those darker colors, like that. That's a good base. And then I'm going to go with go toward green, because this is a green. It is a green bush. I don't want to paint green though. I'm going to go toward green, or maybe I'll go almost green like that, but leave it really desaturated. So I can add just a little bit of green, and we'll add some blue back into it, but I'm just adding a little bit of a green base here, like so. I want a little bit of green to show through, not much though, and I'm going to go back to more bluish tones here. I'm going to add some blue tones back in with that green. Now I can use some texture. I'm going to add some of that sky kind of pink into the bush. This bush is more in the foreground, so we will be able to see a little bit of the detail. I mean, it's not too much in the foreground. We'll cover it up with snow too. But first I paint the object into the scene. I'm staying with that kind of greenish color, but I'm really desaturated, so I can add a little bit of details here. And how I work with this brush is little soft circles. I kind of push a little bit of pressure at first, and you got to push in a direction. You can't just tap with this brush. Nothing happens. See, I'm tapping. Nothing's happening. You have to kind of tap and push in a direction. So I like to pull in the direction of the shape of the bush. This one adds a lot of texture in between the strokes, which is really nice. It makes it look more like it's really popping out. So that's kind of cool. Those look like they could be green bushes back there. Cool, I like that. And I'm going to go to my mountain brush again, make it really small, get a dark color here. I'm going to add just a couple little twigs kind of living inside here. Just add some bottom branches maybe, just to kind of show that there's some structure in here. Then I'm going to add some actual twigs kind of just living off in little directions. Now, those are both going the same direction. I don't like that. There we go. Kind of opposing directions there. A couple little twigs sticking out here. Maybe a little twig on the ground here. Little marks. You can make little marks here and there in the snow. Little rocks and things. Little things sticking out. Just to add some more life here and there. You can add little plant life and stuff sticking out, like little blades of grass or whatever you want to do. I'm going to take a light colored here too. I'm going to add a couple. I don't like that. Experiment. I'm going to add a couple little light twigs in here as well. Alright, let's go back in and cover that. I'm going to use two brushes for this. I'm going to use the texture knife brush to add the darker colors first. I'm going to kind of smooth it out with the foam brush. Yeah, like especially when if Bob Ross was working, he had a lot of layers. As he gets more toward the foreground, the trees don't like to stick so much because there's so much paint on the canvas already, and so wet on wet doesn't like to stick together, and so he'll thin his a little bit of paint thinner will thin the paint out. So to do those foreground trees, he'll often will use a little bit of paint thinner because it allows the paint to stick to the wet paint better in the foreground. It's weird, like a thin paint will stick to a thicker paint when you're using like a brush. And then a knife allows you to add thick paint onto thick paint. So I'm just kind of pushing some of that snow up. See how I just did that? Just kind of a little bit of shapes. I'm going to use my foam brush and kind of smooth that out a little bit so it's not so lumpy everywhere. Especially when I get more to the background. That's going to be less detailed because this is more detailed because it's more in the foreground. I'm going to kind of smear some of these out as well. Some of these little marks I made. See how I just kind of blend those into the snow? Just a little bit of blending, very light, and it kind of makes them look like they're there more. And remember, this is not a painting. This is just a demonstration. This is not a final composition. I would not paint something with this composition. I would make it totally different. But it already started to kind of come together as a scene, so I'm just kind of building on that now. Like for example, I wouldn't just have green on one part of the painting like this. And notice how desaturated that green is. If I pick that green color up, look how desaturated that is. Saturation is way up here in the top right. As you move toward the center, actually, as you move any direction away from that, it's getting desaturated. This is getting desaturated with white, desaturated with gray, desaturated with black. But notice how far away from the color it is. All this. Very far away from the color. Super desaturated. I can actually make that even live more in the background by adding more atmosphere on top of it. Let's try that. I'm going to grab my sky brush here, grab some of this kind of bluish foreground color, a lighter blue color, and just lightly touch over the bushes, the bottom of the bushes mostly. Now it looks like there's kind of like atmosphere existing between us. I can even take my awesome blender brush here as well, and I can lightly blend the edges of the trees just so it kind of fits. I'm gonna kind of pull. I'm kind of curious, what if I made a wind? That's too strong. This is kind of curious if I made a wind kind of blow through here. Oh, that looks kind of cool. There we go. There's an easy way to get some wind, some movement. Just kind of make that wind like it just blew that snow into the barn. Maybe it kind of blew the face of this. Oh, that's on a different layer. Hold on, what layer am I on? Okay, yeah. Snowman. Let's kind of blow the face of the snowman here. I just want to see. Super snow, super blend. So you can really hit it super. That's too hard. I'm trying to get the right hardness. There we go, something like that. Can kind of look like, that's too much. I'll just kind of blend it a little bit, especially his arm right there. There we go. Cool. A little bit of wind back there. You can also really, build it up in the sky as well. You can add more, kind of blend those birds out a little bit. There we go. Kind of pull that dark. See, if I pull this dark color right here into the light, I can actually add, see that little bit of wind coming through like that. And I can also add the light over the dark, so I can pull this light like that. See that over the dark, and that adds, looks like wind as well. So you can make it look like there's a storm in the background by just pulling some of the dark into the light and some of the light into the dark, just like that. I'm going to make this much bigger. I'm going to kind of pull up like that. There we go. Cool. I think that covers everything I can think of with snow right now. It actually came out looking like a decent, even though this wasn't supposed to be a composition, it wasn't supposed to be an actual painting, it was supposed to just be a demonstration. It actually came out looking kind of cool. I would have kept these trees in the background I originally painted. I would have moved everything over, so that all this right here, this whole scene, would have been moved over to the left more. But I kind of made the snowman more of the focus of this painting, so it kind of still works. I just don't like this barn in the center. I would have moved the barn behind the snowman more, or off to the right. I wanted that center to be that cool tree design. It was really neat looking. That was there in the beginning. But alright, that's pretty cool. We got something. I like to sign my name with my mountain brush. I just turn my mountain brush and I make it really small. I like to sign my name with my favorite color, which is fuchsia. And I use a really bright color because I want my, not that I want my name to stick out in the painting so much, but I'm going to zoom in for this. I'll just write 19. Oh, by the way, that's a really easy way to do this, to zoom in and out on a painting, is this little navigator. You can just zoom in and out like this. And then see that little square? You can move around the painting where you want to be at in the painting. And then if you want to go back to normal size, this little icon right here, just click that and it brings you back to normal size. This icon, I think, brings you to print or actual size, actual pixels. And then this one will bring you to where it fits back on the screen. Oh, that's kind of a good idea. Yeah, let's do some snow. Some moving snow. That's a good idea. So we could use a scatter brush. There's actually some default brushes that come with this program that we could probably use for getting the base of the snow down first. I'm going to make a new layer for this. Let's go ahead and just smash all this down again. I'm going to layer merge down so we're back to one layer. Make a new layer for my snow. And I think there's a particle brush we can use for snow particles. Probably under stars. This is really good for texture, like you want to do like, that's a really good brush for, it's under main brushes in that little texture, I think is what it's called. Really good for if you want to do, what's that called? Abstract. See how you get some really nice abstract shapes? Really good abstract brush marks. I really love abstract. One of my favorite forms of painting. I almost want to kind of make all the sky abstract in this painting. Okay, anyway, let's go ahead and find that brush I'm talking about. I think it's under, where is it under? It's not blenders. Lights, maybe? There's also multi-brushes. Multi-brushes can come in handy for different stuff. Let me see if any of these are scatter brush. Like that one has a pretty good scatter to it, but that's not the shape we want. Let me go back to the other one I was looking at. Lights. Oh, this is kind of cool for comets. So if you wanted to add a comet in the background, this brush is pretty cool for that. And if you paint on the exact same layer, it'll bring up the colors of that layer. So So if you color with it lightly, I'm lightly touching, it makes a really light one. You press more hard, it makes it bigger. So you can go light to hard like that. And that's if I want it to come down. I mean, it's kind of a I sometimes use this. It takes a few strokes to get it right exactly how you want it. But sometimes I'll use that for if I want a comet in the background. Do different colors. Here's comet 2. Okay, so this is where star field. Okay, now we're getting to what we can use as snow. Now we don't want it to look like a star though. So star simple. Yeah, star simple looks like it'll work. We'll use white. Make the brush bigger. That's too big. Still too big. That's about right. So I'm going to start with a small version first to add some just sprinkles. So this would be similar to get this effect. Traditionally, I would have taken my paintbrush. I would have put some paint thinner on it or water, depending on whether you're using water oils, or you're using that is water-based oils. Water-based oils are awesome. Really good way to get that oil feel without having to use turpentine. And they don't have that horrible smell to them because you're not using any sort of harmful vapors. And there's trying to think of the brand I like to use. I got them in my other room right now. I think it's Holbein is the one I like. Holbein water-based oil. Basically, they take an oil formula and they take oil and they remove one molecule out of the oil structure. So out of the oil molecule, they go through some chemical process and it strips one molecule out of the structure of the molecule of the oil, and that allows water to interfere with it and lubricate it, so you don't need turpentine. It feels it's still oil, like it feels just like oil, but you can wash away with water. It's really awesome stuff. You have to get a good brand of it, like Holbein or something. So anyway, I would have just taken my paint, made it thin, and then I would have just take my brush like that with the bristles, and anyway, that's how I would have done it traditionally. So that would give me the first thing, and then I would have taken my brush and I would have made the paint a little bit thicker, and now I'd go like this. That gives me bigger drops, and so to simulate that, we're just going to make our brush bigger. And I'm gonna make these ones a little bit less. Remember, these are like almost glowing stars, which is, I think, is cool because it adds, I don't know, I think it adds a better cool effect to the actual snowflakes here. Lastly, I'm going to add a couple big ones. I'm going to press kind of hard on the brush, and a couple spots here. 3 spots mainly, I think. Hold on, it's not. I want bigger. Come on. All right, I'll do it manually, I guess, for that one. Now I know those look like, if you don't want the glowing on there, you can use a different brush. There's different settings you can change on these brushes. Like these ones will add a starry effect to them. But let's go back to our regular paintbrush now. And I'm going to use my awesome blender. And watch this. I'm just going to kind of blend these out so they're not so. Remember, I'm only on my star layer right now. That's how I just kind of blended them out a little bit to make it look like. Now I'm going to go in the direction the snow's going. So the snow's kind of falling. Let's say the wind. Remember, the wind in the background is kind of blowing to the left. It's blowing that way. So I'm gonna pull down into the left like at an angle like this. This is how I'm going to pull this layer. So all my snowflakes are going to kind of come down and to the left like that. And if I turn this off and on, you see it adds a lot of snow. And if you don't want that much snow, you can come in and erase some of this, which, so you can take your eraser tool and just kind of come here and just lightly erase some of this if you don't want so much snow everywhere. You want the snowman more visible. Whatever you want to be more visible, just come and erase some of it. Another thing you do is you can also paint some snow by hand. So let's paint a couple flakes by hand. You can either use the mountain brush, or I'm going to use the textured brush here. Take the color of the snow you want, make it a little bit brighter like this, make a little snowflake like that. My snowflake is literally just a little round ball. And then I'm going to take my foam brush and I'm going to kind of push it or pull it in the direction. So I'm going to just lightly pull like that. Oops. Or I can use my awesome blender. Let me try the awesome blender. Hold on. I'm going to do that again. Little snowflake. Awesome blender. Yeah, I like that look better. And if you just want the edge, you can just grab the edge and pull the edge instead of, if you don't want to destroy the whole snowflake like that. That's a really big snowflake, but that's the idea. I just wanted to show the idea so you can see. You can zoom in and create a couple individual snowflakes. So I'm going to create a snowflake. That's the direction they're going in, so that's the direction I'm going to paint it. And I'm going to just grab the edge, and I'm only going to pull the edge. Something like that. So now I have a snowflake that's falling in a direction. And you can go through. You can add a bunch of like individual little snowflakes like this, as well as using that other brush I showed you. So you can use a mixture between both of those. You can make some of them where they're actually like little round snowflakes like that. Make the brush either bigger or smaller. How depends how big you want the flakes. Now I'm going to take my awesome brush again here, my awesome blender, and just kind of blend some of those out because I don't want... Notice some of them I drew as lines. I didn't actually draw as little round dots, but as lines because they're moving. I want to add that sense of movement to my snowflakes. Some of these ones in the background I'm just kind of blending out a little bit, so they kind of... And you can make a custom brush specifically for snowflakes. So you can take that same brush that we were using. Where was that at? Under lights. So this one here, Star Simple. See how it adds that glow around them? You can go here and change the brush type. So let's see. Wait, where's the brush tip though? So it's a circle. I can change this to normal. So now it's not gonna add to the brightness, so it's not gonna look like light. It's gonna look more solid, but there's still that glow around it. And I'm not sure where they added the glow around it at. That's what I'm looking at right now. Let's see. It looks like it must be in this part here. There we go. So I took off the hardness. So now it's like actual little circles, which is what I want. Make a new layer. I can go really, really small with this and see it gives me little snowflakes back there. I'm going to make it more gray for the background ones, a little bit darker. I'm going to get rid of this. I'm going to get rid of this layer altogether for a second. I'm going to show you how to do it with this brush now. We just made this brush right here. I got a bunch of different sizes. A little bit darker gray. I want some of my snowflakes to look darker gray like that, and some will look lighter. Then I'm going to go a little bit lighter and a little bit bigger. Just add a few snowflakes of this size, like so. And if you don't like how that looks too structured, you just take the same brush as we used before, the awesome brush here, make it kind of big, and then go at the angle that you want your wind to go. So I'm going to kind of come down at an angle like this. So with that whole entire layer, just kind of pushing everything in the same direction. That adds kind of like that look right there. This is the layer I had underneath it. I'm getting rid of it. We're just starting over real quick. And then I'm going to go back to a small, and I'm going to just individually blur some of these out. Make sure I kind of keep at the same angle. You can also use a filter, like a blur filter and a motion filter to get started. I tend to like to do most things by hand because I want more of a painted look. I don't want it to look like it was processed. I want everything to look like it was done by hand. If I wanted that Photoshop fake look, I can just do this in Photoshop. So just a few here and there. I'm kind of blending some of the individual ones out now to add some movement. And then you can add, on top of that, just add some individual flakes like I did before. So same thing, just add a couple little shapes, some bigger, some smaller. And then go back. I'm going to go to my foam brush this time. No, that's too much. That looks like a star thing. Well, I'm going to go back to my awesome blender. That works really good for this. Just kind of blending some of those ones I just painted by hand now. Individual ones I just did like that. Just kind of blend out the edges of them. And there you go. So now you have a snowy, so look at the difference. No snow, snow. And again, you can come back with your eraser tool and erase some of this that you don't like. Maybe some of this is just too much. You want some of this to kind of show more and kind of show those bushes and stuff like that. So, and I don't know, say that some of these are just too big, you didn't like them, you can always get rid of some of the bigger ones. Maybe there's too many close together. And there you go. You can also use a more lumpy shape, so you don't have to use a perfect sphere for that brush I modified, the light brush. So this brush, where was that at? Under lights. So this brush here that I modified, if you don't want it to be circles, you can go and change that to a custom form. Pick out one of these cloud brushes or something like this one. And now when I go see it, it's not so unified. They look more like snowflakes. Actually, I should have done that from the beginning. I'm going to add a few of those in there. There we go. Cool, so there's snow. You can do rain very similarly. If you want to make it look like rain, let's go ahead and get rid of that layer. Make a new layer. I'm going to invisible that one. So similar thing with rain, except you want the rain to be like long streaks. In Photoshop, there's a really easy way with the blur, the motion blur, to make rain. I want like a more of a scattered brush here, and I'm going to kind of add some texture all the way around, make it a little bit bigger, like so. Thanks for the follow, Basavarja. So I know that doesn't look anything like rain right now, but you can make it look like rain. I'm gonna see if this, I can't remember if this has a good see, smart color correction, blur. Let me see. I don't think it has a motion blur. Yeah, this has a regular blur like that. As you can see, I can blur all the stuff I just did. I'm going to do that. I'm going to kind of blur it out a little bit. This doesn't have a motion blur, so we're going to have to do it by hand. So I can go back to my same brush I had before. My awesome blender brush is good for that. Make it extremely big and pull it. I'm going to pull straight down because I want my rain to come straight up and down. And actually, I don't want, hold on, I'm going to use my foam textured. Let me try this. That adds too much texture though, but same idea. I want the streaks to come straight up and down. You can use there's different smeary blender brushes we can use for this. That one has too much texture. That gets the idea started though. Actually, I kind of like that. So that gets the idea started of rain. I'm going to use my awesome blender brush and kind of blend some of that out some more. And then we can turn the opacity down on that layer because that's a little too much. And that gets us started. So turning that off and on, as you can see, it gets us started. That starts the initial idea of the rain. Make a new layer, and I'm debating on how I want to do this. Let's see. Let's go back to that same brush you've been using. Change the tip again. I think I have a vertical narrow tip we can use. Something like this. There we go. There we go. Perfect. So now we want to go straight across like this and add different sizes. Oop, that's too much. The lighter you push, the smaller. The harder you push, the bigger. I'm going to reduce the size now and add some small drops in the background here. And you can have this drawn at different angles. You can actually go in here and change the angle of this brush by click on this texture here, click on this little square with the dashes around it, and then you can change the angle. So if I wanted to do my rain in that kind of angle, I could have done that. See, now it adds an angle to it. Maybe I'll add a couple in here at an angle, even though we're having the rain come straight down. And then you come and you can blur some of those out individually. So you can go back in with your awesome blender and just kind of blend some of the tops of these out so they're not all so perfect. Honestly, much faster than drawing rain with traditional brushes. And you can go back and you can delete the ones you don't like if you feel like there's too many. You can also see what it looks like with and without that layer on. But yeah, something like that, and then you have this kind of idea of rain. So that's rain and snow. There's other ways to do it. I really like making rain in Photoshop because using that motion blur really is cool. I think they should add that feature in this software because it's pretty cool. I like the motion blur. Let's go back to the snow. I'm going to turn the snow down a little bit. Turn the opacity down. So right now that's opacity all the way up. Let's turn the opacity about maybe halfway down. Yeah, I think that looks better. Opacity halfway down, and if you want to just couple really bright snowflakes, we can add a couple. Let's go back to that same brush we were using before that we just made the rain with, and see if I come at an angle. See that how it makes it at an angle now? That's actually kind of cool. We could actually add a few drops like that. It's like there's some rain mixed in with the snow. Let me go back to a good snowflake. Something like that shape right there. Leaves make good snowflakes, like these textured leaves. See, like that? That makes a good snowflake shape. And if it makes some that are too big, you can just erase the too big ones like that. I just felt those are too big. And there we go. If you have any more questions, let me know. If you'd like to see anything else in particular that would fit this snow theme here. Some of that looks a little too messy, like in here. I don't like that. I'm going to get rid of some of this. I really like what I did there, so I want to be able to see that, the nice little ice. I want that ice path to look like ice. Made you forget it was summertime. That's a good thing. But yeah, definitely check out Holbein's water-based oils. They're really fantastic. I actually paint with those in my living room, so I don't have a window open or nothing. Like they don't have harmful fumes like that because you're just using water, and you can use them almost just like you use regular oils. I recommend using them without any thinner at all. Don't use any water to thin it. If you have to thin it, I recommend using the either the Winsor & Newton. Yeah, I think the Winsor & Newton is the best brand I like. I think I have some down here somewhere. Anyway, it's the Winsor & Newton water-based oil. What do they call it? It's their water-based oil. You add oil to thin it. I can't remember what it's called right now. Anyway, I like using that. Just add a little bit of that when you want to thin it out at all. It's basically their glazing. So it's their water-based oil glazing stuff. And you can use it to glaze. You can also use it to just slightly thin it out. I don't recommend using water to thin it unless you need it really, really thin. And maybe toward the end of the painting you can add some of that. But I rarely ever add any water to them. I just add the water oil-based glazing medium. I don't like that one right there. I think I'm gonna knock that one out. Hold on. Let me erase that particular snowflake. There we go. Cool. I think I want to add. I'm gonna see what that looks like. Let's use that weird brush. Let me see here. Here's weird color blended mode brushes. Saturation. I'm just curious what these do. Oh, that's right. You have to be on the actual layer, I think, for these to work. Yeah. See, now it's adding the color. Anyway. Here's a bunch of different blenders, by the way. So I could have used some of these blenders when I was doing different stuff. This one's actually kind of nice. That's kind of a nice blender. Really oily looking. So you can. It's really hard to control this one though to get particular looks, but you can make it really look like oil. That'd be really good for like the background boat or something, or to make little parts of this look more blended. Cool. Let's see, I'm gonna go back to the lights. Let's see here. I think there was some of these are just fun to mess around to see what they do. Like this one does this weird thing. I don't know what I'd ever use that for, but it's kind of cool. This one I've used before. This one's kind of cool. I don't know what I don't know if you just wanted a really bright something like neon lights and things like that in paintings, like a city painting. These come in really handy for like city paintings. Well, that's right. We can add a. See how this adds a glow. You want to make sure you're on the same layer as the painting. Thanks for the follow there, Tony. Make sure you're on the same layer with this one. So if I wanted to add a little bit of light to the snowman, just to make him lit up a little bit, I use this one very, you know, this is really good again for city lights and stuff like that. So if you had like, I don't know, let's say there was a lamp, you can like go over the lamp and just make the lamp look like light by adding this to it. You can add yellow, you know, make it look like an actual light. Let me see, this one's cool for like background fog if you want it to be more like lit up. Adds color. I'd use that sparingly. Whoa, stars. Okay, what I was looking for though was the comet ones. I think I want to add a comet here somewhere. No, that's not the comet. So let's go with this kind of bluish colored comet. I don't know. I was going to add a little comet in the background there. Actually, you know what? Let's go back to the simple add. I'm kind of curious. Let's make a new. I'll make a new layer here. Let's add that. Let's go ahead and paint something really fast. Using my mountain brush here. Let's say for some reason right here there existed sometimes farms, they'll have those high bay lights because this is like a path right here, let's say, and so they want a couple of these high bay lights here. Yeah, high bay lights. Okay, cool. I'm gonna add some snow around that now. Make it kind of fit into the scene here. Add a little bit of snow to the top metal right there, and to this top part right here. Two separate pieces. A little bit of snow maybe on the pole itself. Kind of fit it into the scene there. And now I can take a nice bright color. Let's say it's kind of to offset all the blue and everything, I'm going to go with a kind of a yellow color now. In this case, I'm going to go yellow-orange, really saturated this time, because I want this light to look like a light. Like so, and now I can try that brush I just talked about. Let's go back to our lights here, and it was called Simple Add. And look at that, you can get like a nice glow really fast. Yeah. Get really small now. Add a little bit of white in there. There we go. And I can also come down here because I know it's going to add some light to the pole itself. And then because that light's kind of closer to the snowman, I can add just a little bit of that glow on some of the snow right here on the ground. Down below here, a little bit lighter. Down below here. Now I just warmed the whole painting up, and it looks like light. So those are really fun. If you have a color blend in this, by color blend you mean an actual color that you made a color and you like that color and want to save that color as like a swatch or something? Is that what you mean? Because if you're, I'm going to assume you can retype it and clarify if you need to. But if you wanted to save any color, for example, I like this color right here, or I like this color right here, or this color right here, you can take that color and you can save it into like a swatch, your color swatches. And I think you have to go and open up color swatches. Let me see here. Maybe it's under view. There's the color wheel. Oh wait, I just disappeared the color wheel. That's not what I wanted to do. Oh, I guess, hold on a second. That's not what I wanted to do. Put that back up here. And I guess I could just paint it over here. So I can grab my paintbrush and I can paint that color right. That's one way to do it. You can paint your color here. You can also change this to, right now it's under mixer. I think there's a way to change this to swatches. But that's one way to save it, is like that. That will save it. Every time I open up the software, that color will be there. So if I want to just make a quick color palette over here based on a painting, I can open up a painting. Let's say there's a painter you really like. Actually, let's just do that really fast. Hold on a second. I really love Rembrandt. So I'm going to go over here and we'll type in Rembrandt, a Dutch painter. Let's say there's a certain painting and I really like the colors in the painting. Say I really like the colors in this painting, for example. Actually, let's go with this one. I can copy that image, come back in here, make a new file, new painting, edit, paste that. I just copied it from the website. Now I pasted it, and then I want to make a cool custom palette over here. So I'm going to start in this lower right hand corner. I'm going to grab this kind of orangish red color. I'll put down here in the corner. I'm going to grab this more darker saturated version of it. Grab this dark version here. And to do that, I actually have a button on my pin. I have it's a toggle switch. I have this top button right here. I have that set to my on my Wacom tablet. I set that to my Alt key. You can also just hit the Alt key on your keyboard. So I also have a button on the thing here. Let me see here. Where's Alt? Oh, there it is. So Alt turns your, if you hold down the Alt key, it turns your cursor into the the dropper to pick up colors. That's how you sample colors from the painting. So I got those 3 red colors. That's cool. I'm going to take this kind of, and I'm going to take the kind of more gray color next to it, and I'm going to take this more brighter color. So I know those are his shirt colors, so I'm going to keep those colors together because I know those are all the colors that are used within his clothing, and that color right there. If you want to make one color bigger, you can make that bigger. You know, make each swatch as big as you need it, or each thing as big. The pillow, I'm going to go like this, take that gray color right here. Finally, I'm going to take some of these colors, which are kind of in between both. A lot of these are the same color. Yeah, see, that's pretty much the same color. You can also use a different brush. You don't have to use that brush, so I can use more of a rounder brush. And notice this will kind of blend. I can blend right on my mixer table. So if I wanted to blend some of these colors together, let's say I want a color between this peach and this, I can just kind of blend this up and blend this out and kind of get that color. Try different brushes and see which one blend. Like this one is pretty good for blending. Lightly put those colors together. Take that gray. I want to kind of mix those colors together with this gray. And let's see here. Oh shit, I didn't mean to do that. I forgot that was a brush. I don't think I can get it back. Let me see. Nope. I'm trying to see if it'll get, I think if you hit undo enough times, you might be able to get it back. But I'm not sure. I don't think you can. I did this before in accident. Okay, well, I just screwed it up. I can't remember if there's a way. It's still undoing. I can't remember if there's a way to get it back once you do that. Let me see if it's still on my other. Yeah, see, it updates no matter what file you have open. It updates in all your files. You see how it's still updating this now? So I'm going to start with the base color. See if I can't get some of this back. Oh, well, I got some of these colors up here back, but oh well. Anyway, that's how you do it. You can make your own custom palette that way. What a bummer. I'm gonna paste it back in there. I kind of like those colors, so I'm gonna grab some of those colors again. I think it's still doing its thing. Let me see if I can hit escape and stop it. No, it's not working. I think the only way I'm going to get it to stop up, because I think I hit undo so many times that it still wants to undo. And see, I can't paint over here no more. Like I mess it up. Let me go ahead and save this real fast and reopen it. So I'm going to save this as snowy scene. Snow lamps. I'll just call it snow lamps so I remember what it's called. I'm going to close the software. Yeah, see now it doesn't even want to. It's still trying to. I think it's still trying to undo all those undos I did. I might have to force close it. Okay, there it goes. Let me open that back up again. I'm pretty sure I lost my palette though that I had going on there. That's fine. I always make new palettes anyway. It's not a big deal. Usually before a painting, I'll make a new palette that I want to work with. Get that painting back for you guys. Here we go. This actually turned out to be kind of a cool little painting, actually. I kind of like it. It's interesting. Create a new edit, paste. Alright, let's try this one more time. This time I'm going to not hit that. Don't hit that eraser. Oh, and if you accidentally click this, just make sure it changes it so you can sample colors. Just unclick the dropper tool, which I think is all I had to do last time. And I just restarted the software for nothing, I think. There we go, a little bit more saturated color. Then I want that really dark color right there. Let's grab this dark color as well. It's a little bit different. That kind of yellowish color. This kind of more grayish color for the clothes. Make sure that's the color I want, yeah. Then a lighter, it's just a lighter version, yeah, it's the same color. Grab this really light color here. Like I said, here's where you can, like, let's say I take this color, and I'm going to take this light color, I'm going to kind of blend them together. I can get this kind of in-between peachy color. See, I just made a new color. So I like messing around with this mixing palette. It's pretty fun. Get some neat colors. There we go. I just mixed those colors together and got something new up there. There's this kind of more yellowish. Put that right there next. That's pretty much the same color. I think that's pretty much all the colors he uses in here. Everything else is just a mixture of these colors. Very, very plain palette, but I like that about his work. Here's some more desaturated purpley versions of that same color, but it's pretty much the same color. Yeah, it's pretty much the same color. And then his flesh tones are all similar to his flesh tones, and his little more peach. There's a little more peach in it, but it's pretty much the same as the clothing. Her flesh and his clothing are almost using the same colors. Yeah, a little bit of blue right there. It's not really blue. It's actually more of a gray, but it kind of looks like blue because it's next to warmer colors. And then I might go that color. Okay, cool. So I might go ahead and work with those colors for something in the future. Okay. Oh yeah, one other thing I can show you, like, you know how if you want kind of a kind of a vignette kind of going on, I meant zoom out a little bit like this. Also, I like to do this. I like to zoom way out and see, does my painting still read when it's really tiny like that? Does it read as a thumbnail? And I like when my paintings read as thumbnails. I'm gonna zoom way out like this. And I'm gonna grab my you know what? I closed out my brushes. That's what I closed out. Let me go back and make those visible again. Is it brush options? Is that what I made invisible? No, that's not what I made invisible. Go back and select that. There's my brush options, and you know, I think I just changed how those are docked, huh? That was, or no, that's how it was before. What did I close? I forget what it's called now. I got my navigator over there, graphics presets. I don't think that. Oh, brushes. There we go. So I'm going to put my brush dock here, my layers here, and where did the other thing? Now my other thing disappeared. Oh, I see. Color is in between there. So I'm going to put color up here first. I'm going to dock that. Then I'm going to dock my brushes and then my layer down here. I want these to connect together, but for some reason they're not. Huh. I thought they snapped together, but I mean they snap like that, but I thought they snapped together and moved together. But it looks like they don't move together. So I'm going to make sure that this fits. Make this a little bit smaller. Make sure it fits in here. Like that. And then I'm going to, oops, undock this and make it a little bit smaller. So it fits in here like that. Okay. I'm going to make this one smaller too, actually. I don't need my color wheel that big. I don't work with very many layers in this program, so I like my brushes to be bigger so I can see more brushes at a time. Anyway, so make this small like this, and then I'm going to use the sky brush, make it really big. This one works pretty good. You can also use just a soft round brush, but I like using this brush to add in a vignette. So we'll add a really dark kind of bluish color here. Make it super dark, almost black, and you can just kind of paint in the color, the edges like this. So you can kind of, if you wanted it to, oops, that's too much, didn't mean to do that. So if you wanted to add a little bit of vignette, you can do it like that. You can also do it on a separate layer and then change the blending mode. Let's try that. So make a new layer, paint in this little corners, like so. And then we can maybe a little bit on the top, on the bottom. Change the blending mode to multiply, turn the opacity down. So you can have more or less vignette. If you feel like it went too far, you can always get your eraser tool. You can change the hardness of the brush right here. So turn it down to soft. Right, this is hard, this is soft. Oh, that's still curving in too much. Hold on. I don't want that kind of brush. Let's see here. Where did I? It's been a while since I used the software, so I gotta remember how do I change that part of it. See, right now it's working like an ink brush, but I don't want it to work like an ink brush, so I think I have to go size. Yeah, take the pen pressure off of size. There we go. Now it works more like just a blurry eraser. I can pull off some of the edges right there. It depends how much corner you want. So that's like just corners. Turn the opacity up and down. You can try different blending modes. You can try color burn. I don't really like that. I like multiply. Darken. Oops, that's dissolve. I meant darken. Yeah, so anyway, kind of cool just to add some different depth to a painting. Alright, cool. So unless there's any more questions, you guys want to know how to do something else, I think that's going to... Oh, you know what? I actually messed up my thing now. See, now when I push this button, it's going behind my docks. I like working like that sometimes, but that's not what I want it to work like right now, and I forgot how to change that. I think I have to dock these to the actual side. It's been a while since I've used this software, so now I can't remember how to make this. I mean, I've been using it, but I haven't messed with this aspect of it in a while. I might have to go look up how to do this again. I forget. There's a way to dock these to make it to where it'll recognize that they're actually docked and taking up screen space. Right now they're just floating on top. They look like they're docked, but they're actually just floating in space on top. So then I have to go like this if I want to paint right. So I'm not painting on the edges. Not too big of a deal, but I'm gonna have to figure out how to do that. I don't think I'm gonna figure out right now live, but let me see here. Settings maybe. I'm gonna try the mouse. Maybe the mouse will make it easier to, like that. Okay, there we go. So that's how you do it. So it just wasn't showing up with my pen for some reason. With the mouse, it makes it easy. So you want to go see it. Wait till that bar shows up. Once that bar shows up, that means you're docked, like that. So now I need to go back in here, and I want to make sure that I'm docked either on top. Let me see what that puts it inside. I don't want it to be inside like that. Let me see if I can change the size of this. No, because it's fully in there. Damn it, now I gotta figure out how to do this part. Let's see here, hold on. I thought you just go like until it's on top. You can dock it to the left again, but I don't want to do that. I want it to be docked on top, and I think to make it docked on top or bottom maybe. Okay, you have to do it on bottom, I guess, and then you can switch to the top. There we go. Okay, So start on the bottom first, so you get that little line on the bottom. And then if you want to move it once they're all docked together, then you can move it around. I can put this in the middle, or I can put this back on the bottom. So I'm going to put my layers back on the bottom. Then now I can see, now when I change, it stretches everything together. So I'm going to make my brushes down. Actually, I'm going to put my brushes back in the center. Layers on the bottom. There we go. I like to see mostly my brushes. So I'm going to go like something like that. Same thing over here. So I'm going to grab this whole entire thing and make sure I see that line. It should allow me to see it. Or do I have to put it in here? Hold on. I don't know. This one doesn't want to dock now. See, because this isn't docked, if I hit that button now, it's still going to go behind that. I don't want that to happen. Although you can always make this visible and invisible, so you can always go like this. Because I don't use this as often. I'm going to start doing that. That gives me more real estate. Never mind. I'm going to leave it like this. I like this better now. Then I can just hit that little icon right there, and now I can paint bigger. I have more real estate to paint on. And then if I need to make adjustments, I just pull that little, click that button. Now I can make adjustments to my brush if I need to make adjustments to it. Typically I don't have to make adjustments, so I don't usually use that anyway. So there we go. Cool. I like that much better. Default, this comes docked, so I think to undock it, you just grab and pull it away. Just grab this, I think I'm trying to figure out how to redock this. I thought it was the same as the other side, but it's different for some reason. Let me see. Let me try to stretch this open. Can I stretch this out bigger? Then I can drop this in here. It's not wanting, oh, there we go. I don't know why it wouldn't dock before. Now it docked. Okay, now that it's docked, I can pull this back. Now watch. If I hit that button again, see, now I don't have as much real estate for my painting because this is actually docked now. If you like this, this is good. If you want it how I just had it, you can grab this left mouse click right here, just rip this away. See how it undocks now? So just rip that away. For some reason, it doesn't want to redock. See that? But anyway, rip that away and then just set it right here, and now hit that button again. And look at bam. Then I can just click this off and on like that. Now I have more real estate. Again, to redock that, you have to pull this out first, and then you'll see the little, there it is. See that line? Once that line happens, that redocks it. Then you can stretch it back like this. Grab this and stretch it back. Oops. There we go. Come on. Unclick. And then when you click this, it'll go back to default. Anyway, I like it better like this. I'm going to just undock that and put it there. And then I can just click that button. I like that much better. It makes my painting bigger. Alright, cool. So, sorry about that little ending, that boring ending there. Hopefully, learn something though. Let me go. Oh, I got to show you a message. For some reason, it didn't show it. I can't remember if this program has a recording option, like you have. Like I know Photoshop has a recording option where it'll record the actual steps, the last steps you did. Hold on, Greg. It says your message is retracted. Let me see something, Greg. Where's your message at? Yeah, Greg, it says your messages are retracted. I don't know if you did that or if YouTube is, maybe you typed too long or something. So if you want to try typing something shorter, it should show up, but I can't, it won't let me even let it through. YouTube just completely cut it for some reason. But I think, let me see here, I can't remember if this one has something similar to that allows you to record the steps. If not, there's different recording software out there. Ooh, I did that by accident, but that looks really cool. Do you see that right there? Top left-hand corner up here. I did not mean to do that. Did it by accident. So I have my, there we go. I have that light brush still selected that I did these lights with, and I just accidentally touched right there. And that looks really cool. Just a little bit of light like that. Let's try that up here too. Adds a little more, like almost as if there's lights off camera, or at least one. I'll just make one over there. But let's see here. Anyway, if not, there's like, you can use, damn it, did it again. You can use OBS. I think it's OBS Labs. And so OBS used to only be for streaming, but now you can use OBS to actually record your screen. You can set it up. If you learn how to use that software, it's free and it's really good. I'm using OBS right now. I'm using Streamlabs OBS to do this live for you guys, and I can switch everything right now. Like if I want my camera bigger, I want myself to be bigger, I can just pull this and make it bigger. I can do all this in real time, and you can do this for recording as well. If you hold down Alt, I can change the size of this right here, for example. So OBS is really cool. Yeah, that's a good idea. The moon's up there. The moon's just off. It's just up here off of camera. Yeah, that's a good excuse for why that's there. It's the moon. Actually, no, because it's the moon, maybe I should make it a little bit more blue. Okay, it's still not wanting to go blue. Let me see. Am I still on the same? Oh, I know why. I'm on the sky brush. Let me go back to simple add. There we go. And I'm going to go to the brush options here. I want to change one thing. Oh, actually size isn't set to... It's not set to anything. Interesting. It doesn't seem like it wants to go big right away. Alright, I'm going to add just a little bit of blue. Like that. And a little bit of white. Whoa, that's too much. That's kind of cool. I like that. That's the moon hovering above us. You know, I could actually paint the moon in here. Like actually just paint the moon in here legitimately. Let's do that instead. Let's go back. That'll be the last thing I think I'll do. I'm running out of ideas here. Let's paint the moon. Probably on this side though. Make a new layer just in case I don't like it. Moon. We're going to use... I'm going to use my painting brush, my main painting brush. You can use any default painting brush here. So I'm going to make the moon kind of bluish instead of yellowish. I already have these yellow lights, so I'm going to make a blue light here. I don't want it too big or small. If you want an absolutely perfect circle, you can use the marquee tool. And then up here you have a circle. And then you want to hold down Shift when you do this to make it perfect. Oh, is it Shift? No, it's not Shift in this program. I thought it was. Hold on. Okay, so it's not Shift. Is it? It's not Alt. Control maybe? Okay, for some reason it's Control in this program. That's weird. So I'm going to hold down Control. Make a perfect circle. By the way, this isn't cheating because you can do the same thing with traditional paints. You can use a, circle ruler. You can also, there's different ways you can make a stencil. You can use stencils, and you can just paint. Use a sponge and just paint inside the circle. Get a perfect circle. And then I'm gonna blend that out because I don't want it to be perfect. So now I'm gonna take my awesome blender brush here. And we're just going to go around the edges. Little circle motions around the edges to kind of blend it out. It also adds a little bit of a glow. I'm gonna go even smaller. I'm really trying to destroy the sharp edges there is what I'm trying to destroy. I don't want any sharp edges for the moon. Actually, that's a little too much. That's a little too abstract. Let me go back. Hold on. I'm going to start small from the very beginning. Good thing this has a lot of undo states. I'm not sure how many undo states it has, but I know by default it has quite a bit. Look, I was able to undo all that. If that was in Photoshop, I wouldn't have been able to undo it all. Unless you have it set up that way. So I'm just going in little circle, not little circle motion, I'm following the circle. Little arches. I'm just doing little arches all the way around. There we go. Make it a little bit bigger now. Cool. And I'm purposely making it to where it doesn't look like a perfect circle. I don't want it to look too perfect. Okay, something like that. And then we can go and maybe add a little bit of Twilight Winter. I like that, Twilight Winter. Let me add a little bit of texture to the moon now. I'm going to take a slightly darker color. So I'm going to take the color of the moon. I'm going to come down here a little bit darker. So I can't remember the exact shapes inside the moon, but I remember I always see that something that looks similar to a bunny. So I know that's not what the actual moon looks like exactly. I could look at the moon, but I don't feel like it. I know it's something. There's like a bunny inside the moon. That's what I always see. Whenever I look at the moon, I see a bunny. So I'm gonna kind of, I don't know, something like that. It's not quite what I wanted, but oh well. Right now I got a couple different colors in the moon. Now I'm gonna take that. Watch what happens now. I'm gonna duplicate this layer just in case I don't like it. Right click on this layer. I'm gonna duplicate this layer. And I'm gonna flatten that down. So merge down. So now I have a whole other copy of the painting with the moon on it. So see, this is a full painting without the moon, a full painting with the moon, all as one layer. That's why I did that. This allows the light brush to work better. Now I'm going to take the simple add. I'm going to take my blue color here, and we can add blue light. Kind of light up the sky here. A little bit of blue glow. And now it actually looks, you can make it look look at this, you can make it look so blurred, you can make it look like a sun. It all depends on how much, you can make it look like the camera just can't handle the brightness of the moon. Or you can just make it look more subtle like that. It all depends on how much brightness. So I kind of like that, 2 different shades of blue. And it looks a lot like light now. You don't have to make it look so much like light like that if you don't want to. You can just use more, traditional paint blur methods on not blur, but use the awesome blender and kind of make your blur that way. But I really like this tool. So this is called Simple Add, and it's under the light brushes. These are all default brushes except for my brushes down here, which you hopefully already have now. My Bob Ross brushes, and then soon I'll be putting these ones, my Neil painting brushes, up. These are really good for doing like traditional painting and stuff, figure drawing and stuff like that, or figure paintings. Cool, I like that. So now I have this more lighter blue color from the moon, and then I have these warmer colors from the lights, the lamps. Lastly, I think I want to mix some of this yellow. Go back to that simple add. Mix a little bit of this yellow light with that blue light. I'm just curious what that'll look like. Just kind of mix those 2 colors together. Right there, that's kind of cool. Alright, cool, I'm going to call this done. I think that's good. And we'll call it Twilight Winter. I like that. So we'll call this Twilight Winter. That's a good name. I'm going to resave that as Twilight Winter. So I'm going to delete the other one I saved, which was called Snow Lamps, which is just for me to remember what it was called. If someone asks me about this painting later on, I probably won't remember what it's called. I'll have to search through all my paintings. What was that one called again? And I'm gonna end the stream with just showing you guys a couple of the paintings that we've done using this software. So if you haven't seen these last 2 live streams, we did this one on one of the live streams. This one's pretty cool. So we did this little waterfall. This is all using this software and using my Bob Ross brushes right here. I have another one as well. We did this one before that one. We did this one on the live stream. This one came out pretty cool. I purposely wanted to push my colors. I really wanted some psychedelic colors in this one. For me, that's the most fun. I really like abstract painting. So whether it's abstract with color, this isn't so abstract with shape. The shapes are pretty clear what it's supposed to be. But I really abstracted the color. You know, these colors would not exist in real life, at least not to this extreme. So I like to mess with color abstraction. It's fun. Either shape abstraction or color abstraction. I like both. Let's see here. Some other ones I did with the software. This one is more of a shape abstraction. So it kind of looks like a city. So it kind of resembles something. That is, this one, to me, this one looks like a dilapidated city. Maybe a nuclear bomb just went off or something. So this is both color abstraction and shape abstraction. This is just pure abstract, but it kind of looks like something. I like my abstracts to kind of look like something. More traditional, like Bob Ross style, would be something like this one here, where everything is quite literal. So it's you know, everything is quite abstract as far as, you know, the mountains and the trees and stuff. In that, you know, because Bob Ross kind of had an abstract way of painting. It's not abstract in the sense of you can't tell what it is abstract, but it's very painterly. You know, he doesn't. It's not literal. He's not painting realism. No, actually, you know what the word for that, where it's just a little bit abstract, but on the shapes, but not too much, would be impressionistic. So Bob Ross liked to paint very impressionistically, and that's what this is, a very impressionistic painting. And there's campers way back here in the background, so that's where their campsite. There's a fire in the tent. I wonder if that reads up. Let me see. Let me zoom in. Yeah, that kind of reads. See, a fire and tent. It's like a little campground back there. We got these two kids floating. See, for the kids and the things, I use my regular brushes, my painting brushes. For everything else, I use my Bob Ross brushes. For the mountains and all that. That one was pretty fun. I like that one. Let me see if I can get another one here. Oh, this one was based straight off of a Bob Ross episode, except for the guy fishing. The fishing guy wasn't in this one. But if you go watch Bob Ross season 1, episode 2, this was the second painting he ever did on live television. And if you go watch that, you'll see this is almost a direct representation of that painting. I used the same colors he did and everything. The only thing I did is I added the fishermen. I wanted something else living in the painting. I felt like it was just, I don't know, I always like to add people to my paintings. Or some object, like we added the snowman, for example. So I did quite a few that are just based straight off of Bob Ross's episodes. Like, for example, I actually named them. If I did like that one I showed you before, this is episode 4. This is the 4th painting he ever did, right there. That's based off of that one. And what I did is I literally watched Bob Ross. So I put on my other screen, I put Bob Ross's video on YouTube, and I watched Bob Ross paint, and I just followed along using the same techniques. We're using these brushes, using the same or very similar techniques. I just followed along with them. So you can actually do that. You can actually open up this program, use my Bob Ross brushes, and follow along with Bob Ross and just kind of interpret what you have to do with the brushes a little bit. But you can pretty much follow along straight ahead. Oh, that one with the kids. That was hold on. That was episode 8. Here's without the kids. Here's the version without the kids. That was one of my first versions I did. That was following Bob Ross episode 8, season 1. Then I added the kids to it. Here's episode 3 from season 1. I added this little hiker right here with a flashlight. Other than that hiker, though, this is all just Bob Ross right here. Using these brushes. These are using a lot of my bush brushes. And then it's your episode 5. Here, I'll just go in order real fast. Let's go through a few of these. Here's episode 5. So there's episode 5. I added this girl in the water, though. She's not she's not in Bob Ross's painting. I added the little girl there swimming. Again, I used my painterly brushes for her. This one was fun, actually. If you get a chance, painting season 1, episode 5. This is a fun one to paint. I really had fun with the waterfalls. Yeah, I remember that episode where he said he was talking about how he went to school for painting, and I think his teacher was telling him that he made a joke out of it, but he basically said, because he was doing like a person or painting a person or something like that, and his teacher said something like, "Yeah, Bob, you should just stick to trees," or something like that. So he realized, fine arts wasn't his path. The foothills, yeah. So this is based on episode 6, but I added this dead man as like a guy that froze to death. And the reason why I did that, if you ever seen this episode, you should know why I painted that. So this was one of the weirdest things I ever heard Bob Ross say. Sometime in this episode, as he's painting this painting, something very similar to this at least, when he's painting like the snow or the ice or something, he starts going off on this dark story about, oh yeah, there's this guy out in the cabins, and maybe he just froze right there and died. And something like that. I'm like, what? Where did that come from? Usually he's always talking about happy stuff, Here, we'll just paint some ice here for the, squirrels to ice skate on or something. Nope. It's all about this guy in the cabin and how he froze and died. So as a joke, I literally painted that cabin guy, and here he is. This is the guy. There's the guy that Bob Ross was talking about, all frozen and dead. So yeah, I thought that was kind of funny. That made me laugh so much. I remember when I watched that episode, it was so funny. Here's episode 7 from season 1. I added the lady in her, painted the lady and some ducks and her little baby there. Did a firework. This was 4th of July when I painted this one, so I decided to make it look like a 4th of July piece. And let's see, what else? I think I have a few more episodes I did. I thought I did a few more. Oh yeah, I did episode, no, that's 8. Oh yeah, episode 9. I think this is the last episode I've ever done of Bob Ross. Yeah. There's episode 9. I really like that one too. Episode 9 is really nice. That's a fun one to do. A lot of cool colors. Yeah, I can draw a dragon flying over a mountain. I don't really like dragons. I mean, I like them. I don't really like to paint them, I should say. This is one I did from imagination. So just kind of invented. At first, when I first painted this one, I was just painting a scenery, a snow scenery. And then I decided I want a UFO to crash, so I painted the UFO. And then I decided that I wanted a girl walking across a tree that had fallen down because she's going to go check out the crashed UFO. So that's often how it happens. Like, I won't have an idea of a story when I first start the painting, but as I continue going, more story elements start coming together, and next thing you know, I'm telling a story. But, like for example, with this painting, I had no idea what this was going to be. This was supposed to just be a tech demo. I wasn't even supposed to make a painting at all. I was just going to show how to do a couple little objects in the snow, and it turned out to be a whole painting, so. And now it kind of, there's sort of a story there. Some people built a snowman. This is kind of cool. This is just a little tree I painted. I did this in a different software though. I think I did that in Painter. Maybe Painter 10? Can't remember. So a few more that I did in this software. This one was fun. A lot of cool colors in this one. And I did this one in this software. So this is painted in Paintstorm. So I did a couple little fairies and really abstract colored waterfall. That one was fun. I might actually do a live video of that one, just step by step showing how to paint something like that. Maybe paint it again and just show how I painted it. This one was fun. Believe it or not, I painted this one in this software. So I used Paintstorm to paint this. The brush I used mostly was my knife brush. So my Bob Ross knife brush I made, my texture knife. So most of this painting was done using that texture knife. And I actually based this off of a video game. I was playing Uncharted 4. And as I was painting Uncharted 4, I was on the water level. And if anyone's ever played that game, you'll recognize this scene from that game. Or something similar to that, at least. The rocks under the water. Here's one I painted on this software as well from imagination. Just kind of made this one up as I went along, type of thing. Do you have any advice for my father who is trying to get into watercoloring? Yeah, definitely. I can give some advice for that. One, watch some YouTube tutorials to get the foundations of watercoloring down. There's a couple cool tricks you can learn with watercolors that isn't very difficult to learn, but you want to learn how to handle the brushes. You don't want to just go in not knowing anything about painting and start using watercolors, because they're very different than any other kind of painting. Painting watercolors is different than painting oils or anything else. So you want to learn those few tricks. I really like this one because I went really crazy with the rock structure. I wanted the rocks to really look different and abstract, kind of. Just really weird shapes that doesn't exist on Earth. But yeah, so that's where I would definitely start, is learn all the basic techniques. There's cool techniques to use with sponges. There's cool techniques to use. Hey, what's up, CJ? There's cool techniques to use with like wet on wet, wet on dry, how to lift paint. So if after you paint some paint down, you can then go wet into wet and lift the paint up, like lift it off with the brush little by little, and to get a nice blend across. So there's a lot of cool techniques like that you really want to get good at. And then after that, it's just a matter of putting those different techniques together to make a painting. Oh, this one's pretty cool. Nighttime waterfall. There's a lot of detail in this one. This was also painted with Paintstorm. And if you look, this one has a lot of detail in it. I actually spent a little bit more time adding some detail to the rocks here. But they're literally just a couple brush strokes. Like this rock right here, it looks really detailed, but it was literally just a few brush strokes with the mountain brush. The lady's face took a little longer to paint because it's quite detailed, as you can see. And let's see here. I think that's it for the ones I know for sure I painted with this. And yeah, so like with watercolors, I'll show an example. Here's a I thought I had a better example of a watercolor. This one's actually, believe it or not, this isn't traditional watercolor. It looks traditional, but believe it or not, this is done in a software called Rebel 3, or I don't know if they pronounce it Rebella. But let me show you what I'm talking about. It might be pronounced Rebella. This is what's so cool about this software, at least for their digital watercolor, is absolutely amazing. Yeah, here we go. This software right here, as far as I haven't found anything that's better than this for digital watercolor. I'm able to take a lot of the same. I still have the software on my computer somewhere. I think I might have deleted it, but I still have it. I can just re-download it again. But there's some techniques that I use in the software that are the exact same techniques that I would use with real watercolors. I was able to do with the software. Like, see this wet into wet right here to blend out, and then on her skin to get these nice blends in the skin. Very similar with real watercolors how I do that. But yeah, if you like watercolor and if you know how to use watercolors traditionally, I highly recommend checking out the watercolor brushes in Rebella 3. It's really awesome. This was an abstract one I did. This is traditional watercolors. This was actually, I decided to try out these pins. They're watercolor pins you can buy on Amazon for pretty cheap. So there's like these cheap watercolor pins, and you don't have to actually dip them. The paint is inside the pin. You just squeeze it and paint with it. Add a little bit of water if you want to dilute the paint. And I did that one really quick with those pins, kind of an abstract cityscape. Kind of fun little pins. I only used them once and I got rid of them. I thought I had I can't find my other I have a lot of traditional watercolors, but for some reason I don't have them on here. A lot of these are digital watercolors, but I don't know where my traditional ones are. Oh well, they're somewhere. I would show you some of my traditional symbolism painting. Oh, here's one. This one's watercolor. So this one does have nudity in it. I think it's not over the top nudity. I think it's presentable. I don't think it's something that unsafe for work type stuff, because there's nothing in there that I think is too over the top. But anyway, just in case it is, you might want to turn it off. But this was a traditional watercolor I did. I had not painted watercolors in a while, so I'm not too happy with the end result, but it came out alright. I like the main idea, the symbolism. I really like the symbolism, but some things could have been better. Really small painting of that one. That one should have been a lot bigger for how much detail is in it. I can't really show any more of these because these are really not safe for work. Like this one's also traditional watercolor. And that one. But they're not safe for work, so I'm not going to show those ones right now. This one is safe though. I'll open this one here. So that one I did in Paintstorm, using my more traditional brushes. So brushes that I designed in Paintstorm more for like painting stuff like this, more realistic type stuff. Yeah, watercolors can actually look very vibrant. You get you want to get the colors you want to get are like nice transparent colors, and then you can build on top of each other. They actually make hyper colors now, hyper watercolors, which are basically almost translucent, or not oh, sorry. Oh yeah, thanks for the whoa, $5. Thanks for that, man. I appreciate it. Ham Hawk Hiker, much appreciated. What's that called? The word I was thinking of. Brilliant colors. What is the brilliant colors called? Not hyper. Like you use highlighters. What is that color called? Oh my god, like neons. I can't think. There's a word I'm looking for. But anyway, they basically have like neon watercolors now. They're super vibrant. No, like neons, like literally like neon. It's really cool. One of the hardest things about this painting was to get her nose to look right. I really wanted it to look like her nose was thinner than his, and I wanted it to look like the light was penetrating through the skin, to where you know how when skin, you put a flashlight behind your fingers, they almost look like they're glowing kind of orange color. It was really hard to get to nail that color down, like right here on her face right there. It was really hard to get that nailed down to look just like I wanted it to. But I eventually got it. The color I used, in case you're wondering, I'm going to go ahead and show that color really fast. Here's the color right there. Really very saturated color, kind of a reddish going toward orange a little bit, and then going toward white. That was the color I ended up using. Yeah, this one's cool. It tells a cool story. So she's an android, he's a human, and you can see he's about to inject her with some green juice. So basically he's going to kill her. He has to put her out of order. But yeah, so this is what we did today. This was the live painting today. Like I said, when I started this, I wasn't planning on doing any sort of scene. If I were to repaint this as an actual scene, I would change a lot of things. I'd make a lot of things different. So originally I was just showing how to do trees in the winter. Then I was like, hey, what else can I draw in the winter? Can I show how to paint in the winter time? So then I showed how to do it, because someone asked about a barn, so we did a little barn. The snowman's, I think Dahl mentioned the snowman. We put the snowman in there. But I threw this fence in there just for the hell of it. Yeah, and it just kept building up, and it ended up looking like something. Oh, hammock. Okay. Hammock hiker. This one I also did with the software. I wanted this one to look very abstract, so my goal was I wanted to paint the entire painting with just my knife brush, my textured knife brush. So this was all just done with my textured knife brush. Except for her. I wasn't able to get the details on her with just a textured knife brush, so I did use my standard brushes for her. And I think for what she's pulling. This is also another symbolism. There's a lot of symbolism in this one. Everything it looks exactly like it's supposed to, because there's a lot of symbolism here. So the shape of the rocks and everything, a large key, like everything in here is symbolic for something. It's telling a story. It's telling a symbolic story of something. I don't ever tell you what my paintings mean, because I want people to come up with their own. I mean, I know what it means. Like, I know why I painted it. I paint it to have a very specific meaning, but I don't try to force that meaning on people. I let people get whatever meaning they want out of it. I think it's funner that way. It's kind of interesting hearing different ideas that people come up with, like what they think the paintings mean. Yeah, most of, I mean, I paint a lot of this stuff on this channel, but when I do Bob Ross stuff, I try not to show my unsafe for work stuff, because it doesn't go good together. I just don't want to show stuff that's unsafe for work when I'm doing Bob Ross style. So the rest of this is unsafe for work, so I'm not going to show you any of that stuff. I do have some cool abstract stuff I did with the software too. If you haven't seen it before, I'll show one of the abstract ones I did with the software. This was kind of fun. So this was done with Paintstorm, using a lot of their textured knife brushes. All my videos are demonetized anyway. I ruined that reputation with YouTube a long time ago. So I've been with YouTube before Google bought it out. That's how long I've been on. That's how long this channel's been around. I've been painting in this channel before Google bought out YouTube. And one of the first things they asked me to stop doing was cursing or cussing. And I was like, fuck you, that's what I do. That's part of my personality. I'm not going to stop cussing. If I cuss, I cuss. It's just what happens. And so they stopped showing my videos. So because I refused to stop cussing, the first thing they did is they stopped showing my videos on the side. So you know how when you click on someone's videos, the recommended videos will often be, at least a couple of them will be by the same person you're watching. And back in the day, it used to only be the same person you're watching. And so they stopped showing my videos altogether. On the recommended videos, my videos would never show up, even if you're watching one of my videos. That was the first thing they did. And then I draw nudity. That's because I teach how to draw the human figure. How can I teach how to draw the human figure without drawing nude figures? It doesn't make any sense. That's what nude figure drawing is. So then they demonetized my channel, and they said your paintings are inappropriate. So they were demonetizing them. So yeah, that's pretty much what happened to my channel. So yeah, YouTube took everything away. They demonetized my channel. They no longer recommend my videos. My videos, like back before they did all that, my channel used to get, every video I would put out would easily get, 5,000 views, no problem. And a lot of them would go on to get 30, 40,000 views, and some of them went on to get 1 million views. But ever since they did that to me, they just destroyed the channel. So yeah, that's what happened. So the moral of the story is, if you want to make sure that YouTube promotes your videos and stuff like that, don't cuss in your videos. That's why a lot of these bigger guys now, they stop cussing, like Ninja that does the video game channel. That's why he stopped cussing in his videos. Don't cuss. Make sure everything's family friendly. Like, pretty much pretend like you're on a Disney show. Act like you're making videos for Disney. Then YouTube will like you. This one I actually use Photoshop for, but I use really cool textured brushes to make that one. That one's not from imagination though. That's based on a photo. I don't really care for paintings that are based on photos so much, unless I really do color abstraction, like really change the colors. Let me see here. Here's another abstract one with that girl from what's that new show that looks like The Simpsons, but it's not The Simpsons, and it takes place in like some fantasy world. I forget the name of that show now, but that's what she's from. Totally forgot the name of that show. Disenchanted? Yeah, that's what it is. I think Disenchantment or Disenchanted, something like that. Here's an abstract I did with this software. Just a really quick one, black and white. It's kind of fun. I use just my abstract brush, and I think a couple other. Let's see what brushes did I use for this one. Mostly the what are they called? Let me see here. The flat bristle brushes. Those are really fun to do abstract with. And let's see if I have anything else. This one's okay. That one I did really fast, and I don't know. It came in okay. I like the colors. That's why I kept it. For the colors. These next ones I'm going to show you. These ones I really like doing. These ones are very abstract. I really like doing this kind of stuff. This one's called Wasteland. Or actually, did I reduce it to just waste? It's either called Wasteland or Waste. Let me see. Yeah, Wasteland. I actually painted that one traditionally as well. That one's digital, but I did a traditional version of it. This one's kind of cool too. This one kind of reminds me of like a really busy futuristic boatyard or something. This is also just abstract. It's not meant to look like anything. It's just a bunch of cool colors and shapes that kind of resemble something. Believe it or not, doll, these are all digital. All the ones I've been showing you right now are digital. I did a traditional version of this though. Here, hold on. Let me show you the traditional version of this one. Traditional version. Let me see. I did a traditional version of it. Let's see. I think it's this one. Here we go. So here's the traditional version. So this one was painted with oils. Let me move. Can I move this out of the way? I don't like how that's in the way, but oh well. So that one's done with oils, and then this one is the digital version. You can tell with digital I can get a lot more details in a small space, whereas with traditionals it's a lot harder to get so much detail. And this was all done with a knife. So that was a knife painting. I like knife painting. Knife painting is fun. Here's another one that's traditional. This one's done with acrylics. This was a mixture of brushwork and knife work. World War II plane. Trying to. Oh, here's that. Remember that the city I showed you, the digital version? Here's the traditional version of that same painting. So I don't know if you remember the one I showed earlier. That looked like a city that was torn apart. This is that same one, but done. This was done with acrylics, actually. This is done with open-ended acrylics, which means they stay wet longer. That was done with mostly with a knife. I like working with knife when I do abstract. This one actually sold to a fellow grower. This one's called First Time Off-World. Yeah, you know, that's one thing I love about video game concept art, especially when they do like environmental stuff, because a lot of that looks like abstract, you know, because they do it so fast. They're mostly focusing on just shapes and colors and lighting that it ends up looking very abstract, but you can kind of tell it looks like a city. Like when they just do that really fast stuff, I really like that. Some of my favorite digital artwork is when they do stuff like that. I prefer stuff that's impressionistic or even abstract. This one I like a lot. This one looks kind of like oils, but it's actually done with acrylics. Let's see, hold on. Where's that? What is this thing right here? This must be. Let me see what tool that is. I'm gonna disappear it for a second. Tools options. Is that what that is? Okay. I'm gonna close that off right now. This one's called Blue Angel. Blue Angel. This one has a lot of detail in it. When you get up close to this painting, you can actually see there's a lot of little abstract details and stuff in it. This was done with knife and brush. I did both. But yeah, what's cool about digital abstract though is it really lets you can just get more detail with digital abstract. Like here's one that's digital. Kind of similar concept, but red angel. I still want to paint this one traditionally. Usually what I'll do is if I have a really cool idea for an abstract painting, I'll paint it digitally first. And then if I think it's cool enough, I'll do a traditional version of that painting. I feel this is safe for work because it's pretty abstract. It's really hard to kind of tell what it is. There's no details there. This one's cool. This isn't really abstract. It's more impressionistic. It's impressionism. Notice how the clouds are very textured. This one I actually did in Photoshop. I have a special set of brushes that I like to use in Photoshop that are very, what's the word I'm looking for? I guess they're very textured. A lot of canvas texture to them. I don't know. I really like both. I like traditional and I like digital. Sometimes I feel like I like traditional more. And then when I like traditional more, I find myself doing more traditional stuff. Like I really got into a big kick not long ago doing a lot of traditional stuff and did a lot of paintings. All my walls are full of them right now. And at that time I would have answered I like traditional more. Right now I'm working a lot more digitally again. So right now my answer is digital. But who knows? A couple days from now I might think traditional again. So it really depends on what mood I'm in, I guess. There are a lot of benefits to traditional. One thing I really like about traditional is that if you make a mistake, you can easily just undo it. Whereas with a painting, you make the wrong brushstroke, you either have to leave it or you have to spend time reworking it. So I like the experimentation I can do. I can like lay down several brushstrokes, you know, experiment with it and see if I like it, and keep deleting it if I don't like it to get that perfect brushstroke. And I also like traditional because I don't have to clean anything up. I don't have to set anything up. I don't have to clean anything up. It's all right here. I can just sit on my bed. I'm sitting on my bed right now, Indian style. or not Indian style, but half lotus. And so I just sit here with my Cintiq just right here in front of me, and I can just paint just like I don't know if you can see this. Well, it's kind of hard to see the screen, but so I just paint right here on my screen with my digital pen, and it's just fantastic. So I like that. I can just grab my tablet and just start sitting here and draw. So that's always fun. Oh, in fact, one more quick thing we can do real fast before we close this stream out is I'm going to open up a new document here. I want to show you something really fast. So I'm just going to use these flat brushes here. These are all stock brushes that come with the software. They're called flat bristle brushes. Let's go ahead and fill this in with the color first, though. I'm going to pick these colors that we've been working with, and we'll start grabbing some of these colors and some of these brushes, and I'll show you some of these different things these brushes do. They're pretty cool. So here's the first one. Sample. I can't read what it says. It's so tiny. Oh, sample palette knife. This is called the sample palette knife. So if you push kind of hard, it lays the color down. If you push lightly, you can pull some of the color back through. You can pull other colors back through. So you can kind of just push color around. If you press hard, you lay down that dark color. As you can see, I can lay down dark colors. Also, I recommend if you get the software to get a tablet that does this, that allows you to see how I can turn that in real time. That's like this. I can turn it like this, and that's it. So let me show you what I'm talking about. Watch my hand here. See my hand? Alright, so here's my hand. Right, so if I turn my hand this way, see it's up and down. I can make a up and down mark like that. If I turn it this way, I can make a mark this way. See, like this, or like that. So that comes in handy. There's one of my paintings right there. It's kind of hard to see. So yeah, anyway, if you press lightly, you could pull one color into another color. So see, I'm pulling that lighter color over the darker color. That's by pushing very lightly. So I can just lightly pull that color over it. This is cool to go back and forth and make different shapes. And yeah, I will be doing more live shows. I've been doing more live shows recently on both my channels. So I also have a Grow channel. But yeah, I've been doing more live shows. This is my third live show on this channel, I think, now. So, and they're pretty close together. I'm gonna probably do one. I'm gonna try to do a live show at least once a week. I'm not sure how the Wacom handles that, but I think it has like maybe there's some sort of gyroscope or something built into it. I'm not sure exactly how the technology works, but it works really good. Like it feels really nice. Like when you move this around, it just feels so smooth, and it really feels like real life. So yeah, and this software is only $20. Paintstorm is only $20. And if you can't get a tablet like this where you actually draw on the screen, so Cintiq is like $1,000 for their 13. That's what I'm using. I'm using the Cintiq 13. It's $1,000. You can find it used though, and these things last forever. So if you can find a used one, they're fantastic. They work really good. And you can sometimes find used ones for like $400 on eBay or Craigslist or the other stuff. I forget the other one called where you can buy used stuff. It's called something though. That new one that came out. Notice if I go back and forth, I can watch. If I make a line like this and then I go lighter and darker, see how I can kind of erase it and also add some light back into it. It's almost like picking up both colors. And you can kind of go back and forth with this and make like water really fast. And then go back with the light, just lightly over it, and you can like make background cool stuff. Anyway, that's what that brush does. This one here is flat transparency, very similar to the other one I was just using. It just I can like blend more. See, it has less opacity on it, so it allows me to do more blending with it. Alright, so we'll start with some basic shapes here. Maybe add a couple more colors in here. Just so you can see how this kind of blends. If I push hard and then light, I can get different colors. like so. But yeah, make sure to get it. If you can't afford one of those draw on screens, there's Xpin as well. That one's more affordable. It allows you to draw right on the screen. They have a version for like $400 for a 19-inch, I think, or 16-inch. I recommend a smaller one. The big ones really get your arm tired really fast because you have to move your arm. So imagine if you're drawing on a standard piece of paper versus drawing on a really big piece of paper. If you like drawing on big pieces of paper, then get a big tablet if you can afford it. I like small paper personally. I like doing smaller paintings than bigger ones. So I prefer a smaller tablet, and they're less expensive, which is good. Huion makes one that is a good tablet you can draw on screen, but also there are tablets where you look at the monitor in front of you, and then it's kind of like a mouse, but you're using a pen. Those ones I don't like so much. It takes a long time to get used to. I started off that way, but it took me a long time to get used to looking straight ahead and drawing down here. Like, it's really weird. It took me a while to get used to it, but it's a good place to start digitally if you absolutely can't afford to get a tablet where you can draw on the screen tablet. Oh, this is a load brush that I'm using now. Wait, how come I can't pick that color up? Oh, it's the background color. Cool. This brush here we've seen before. Allows me to paint up and down. Kind of has a little bit of texture to it. If I press hard, there's no texture. If I press lighter, there's some texture, especially if I go sideways like that. Same as this brush here. If you go kind of fast with it, you can there you go. Fast and like medium pressure, you get a lot of texture like that out of it. I'm just going to go through each of these brushes, just kind of show you the different things they do. So this one's interesting. This is another loaded brush. So this is Dirty Impressionistic brush. When you grab a color with this, it'll allow you to paint with that color, but then it goes away. See, I don't have no more color no more. Now I can just use it to blend and move color around. And so each time you want to make a mark with this, you have to reload it with paint. So I'm going to grab this color, let's say. I can load that color on it, but now I have no more color left. So each time I have to reload color back on this thing. I'm trying to see if it... See, then I can kind of blend stuff out. And I don't like this shape right here. I'm going to get rid of that. There we go. Maybe add this color next to it. This color. There we go. That one really looks like, I like this one. Has a lot of oil blending. It's kind of cool. This one has a lot of texture to it. And this one, notice it turns. See how it turns on the screen, like the triangle? So if I go up and down, the faded side is on the left, or the darker side. Now the darker side will be on top. See that? So if I go in a circle, like that, see the darker side is on the outside. So basically where you see the larger part of the triangle, that's where it's darker. The point of the triangle is where it's lighter with this brush. So see that? It's really cool for doing certain types of strokes, making certain types of marks. Well, I'm going to add this kind of blue-gray back into there. I'm going to add a darker color right here. There we go. And then see if as I came across like that, you see how it changed the... Sometimes these are nice to make certain marks across another color. So see that color right there? If I make a horizontal mark across that, you see how it kind of picks up the color in between it? I don't know if you can see that or not. Then I can go up and down, pick up more colors with it. Oh yeah, definitely. If you can get an extra $20, man, you own it for life, by the way. So this software, Paintstorm, you pay $20 and you own that for life. You don't ever have to pay again. It's yours to keep. No monthly payments, no upgrades. all upgrades so far have been free. So you know how Photoshop, that when they used to do upgrades, you'd have to pay like $100, something like that, to upgrade. Upgrades are free, so if they make any changes and you want to upgrade, you just go download the new version and it upgrades automatically. So upgrades are free. And I think if you get in on it now, if they ever do start charging for upgrades, I think it's free for you for as long as you own the software, because once you own it, and I think the upgrades are free forever once you own the software. So the next brush here, this is called Dirty, what's that called? Dirty Transparent Oil. This one's called Dirty Transparent Oil. Oh, okay, I can see why. You can like, this is another one you have to keep loading the brush. So I'm going to load some red on here. Notice it ran out of paint. So that's about how long the stroke is, and then you can kind of blur it out. This is good to make like a nice streak like that, and then kind of, let's see what other colors. Try this dark color here. Not there. I gotta reload the paint. Each time you make a mark with this brush, you have to reload the paint. No, I want to stick with just these colors too. I don't want to use other colors. I want to see what happens if I just use these colors. Cool. This one here, what does this do? Oh, these are nice. I like these a lot. These are scrape brushes. Notice it's not loaded right now, so I can just scrape color right over it. So it's basically scraping the background color. If I load a color into, let's say, red, it'll add that red, but then it'll start running out, see? Or maybe it doesn't. Okay, cool, this one doesn't run out. So this one is permanently loaded, so if I press harder, I get more color. If I press light, I get no color, see that? I just pull the background color. If I wanted to pull that orange color, just lightly pull it, and I can pull the orange color. See that? That's lightly pulling the orange color. If I press hard, I'm going to make a mark with the red that I have chosen right now. So that's pretty cool. I'm going to turn my tablet and my arm. I want to make a mark right here. Okay. Oh, I accidentally hit the cord on accident. You can also use this one vertically too and still get nice, see, I can still get nice thin lines with it. You can go light and then go dark as well. That's an interesting mark. Took me 2 weeks to get used to it. Still the bane of my existence, but helps me earn money. Yeah, definitely. I mean, Photoshop's awesome. I still use Photoshop. I have certain texture brushes that just don't quite work right in this software. And so there's certain kinds of paintings I like to do in Photoshop, and there's certain kinds of paintings I like to do in this. So it just depends on what I'm working with, what I prefer. Alright, let's look at some other brushes here. This one, what does this one do? Forgot. Oh yeah, this one's nice. So if you press kind of hard, you get this kind of nice oily mark. If you press lightly, I get this texture. I don't know if you can see that. So that's pretty cool. Let's try this kind of reddish color. So if I pull it like that, see it's nice smooth color. And then if I kind of pull it, go over it like that, see the textures there? It's like leaving texture behind as I lightly go over it. That's really cool. I just lightly touch some of this, I can make some texture. See a little bit of texture there. Just going to kind of pull this lightly and just add some texture over some of these shapes here. It adds some nice dirty texture. Good to like blend out edges and stuff. What's the other channel's name you said? I didn't catch it. Oh, well, I have quite a few different channels. So if you look, my other channel should be linked to this channel. So if you go to click on my name. So below this, like after you're done watching, you know, you click on Learn to Draw, my actual name on YouTube. That'll take you to my channel's homepage. On the right hand side, it lists all my other channels. I haven't uploaded anything to my traditional painting channel in a while, so. Oh, this one here is actually, this is done by somebody else on, I found him on DeviantArt. I forget his name, but that one costed, to get that print, costed like 80 bucks. It was printed on, it's printed on really thick printer, like some kind of special art paper. And this one I did, I don't know if you saw the one that was over there, that one I did and got it printed out through DeviantArt on canvas. And do you see any other ones? Hold on. So that one's the one that guy did. That one's one I did. This one right there I did. That's an abstract. I don't know if you can see that. That one over there my wife bought off of Amazon, I think. What happened to the ghost videos? That's kind of a long story. Basically, most of the ghost videos are obviously fake. I still have a few on there. On that, the channel is now called Nomicism. I still have a few on there, and one of them is actually a real video. But the ones that are really, really cool were actually fake. It was all a video game ploy that never worked out. So I was building up a cool story and stuff, and I was getting ready to come out with a really cool video game that, anyway, it's a long story, but yeah, it was basically a video game ploy that didn't work out. A marketing scheme that didn't work. Oh, this one's nice. I like this brush a lot. So I think this is one of the brushes I based my abstract brushes on. So this one's called Low. What is that called? It's so tiny, and then I don't know why they do it this way. The text is written right on top of the texture, and so the texture blocks the text and makes it harder to see. Low texture something. It's hard to read what that one says. But if you can see, it has a lot of texture to it. So if I make a mark, there's a lot of texture behind it, and then I can also blur it out by lightly painting over it, which is cool. And if I press harder, it comes out more. And what's cool about this software is you can actually change the texture so that instead of, how like if you make a mark this way and then make a mark this way, the texture is the same. You can make the texture follow the angle of the mark. So if I were to go like this, and all the texture would be the same, but if I go paint this way, all the texture will be different. So you can actually change the texture to where it randomizes the texture in different angles based on the brush stroke. It's really cool. Let me go and add a couple more strokes in here. Yeah, I don't intend this to look like anything. Honestly, this is totally just abstract, random shapes and colors using just this palette right here, nothing else but this palette. I have no idea what this is supposed to be. I just want to show you what some of these brushes can do. They're really cool. Alright, this brush here, oh yeah, this one's nice too. This is very similar to the last brush, so I think I can blend with this one. Let's make a shape down here, darker color, lighter color, see if we can blend these together. Yeah, this blends alright. Not the best for blending, but it does it blends a little bit. It kind of adds this kind of smeary, kind of blended look, which is kind of cool for certain effects. But what I like about this brush is it has a really nice texture to it. In fact, I'm going to leave some of that texture right there. But yeah, so you can, let me see here. See how not only does it have texture, but it also has, see the edges? The edges aren't smooth, so the edges come out textured as well. So that's pretty nice. Oh, this one also is a loaded brush, so it runs out of color as you keep painting with it. I think, let me see. Yeah, it runs out of paint. Oh, see that? That's almost like a double. Check this out. Paint with this, take this color next to it, or this color next to it. Get that color back. Paint with both of those colors for a second. Make a couple marks as I run out of paint, and you can kind of see both colors in there. So I really like that. I'm going to try that. Let me see here. So I want to make a mark down here. I want to rub off some of the paint, and then I want to make a mark with it. See, it keeps running out of paint. I'm going to reload it again. There we go. Usually I'll start to see something if I just keep messing with the painting like this. I'll start to see something in all the randomness. And then I'll start trying to do something with that randomness. But so far, I'm not seeing nothing in this randomness. It's just remaining random to me. I have no idea what this should be yet, if anything. This one's kind of cool. So this one runs out of paint as well, as I make marks, I think. Yeah, so this one runs out. That one makes some interesting marks. I like that. I think I'm gonna make that swipe. Let's see, where do I want that swipe at? That's pretty cool. That adds a lot of movement. I like that. So I'm gonna use that swipe in there. Okay, cool. That's a cool brush. What does this one do? When I first got this software, this is what I did. I went through every single brush and I just messed around with them. So this one has some interesting shapes to it. I don't know if I like that brush very much, but this one might be okay at blending. Let me see. Let's try to blend two colors together. Kind of smeary, but it does blend alright. Kind of makes an interesting smear blend. Kind of cool if you want that smear blend look. And now we're getting some really funky brushes. This is a multicolored brush. Well, I guess this is one way you can do the rocks. Remember I was saying, what if we can load a brush with multiple colors or two colors? So something like this, if you were to mess with this brush, you can probably get it to where it only has two colors. Yeah, you have to make the gradient just be two color gradient. So I guess you can load the brush that way with the two color gradient, have the dark color in the bottom and the light color on the top, and you can make rocks with one stroke. You know, similar to this right here, but just change the color so you can make rocks with one stroke like that. That'd be kind of cool. And then we have this brush. Oh, this is nice. So it runs out of paint also. You can make quite a few dabs with it before it runs out of paint though. Cool to just make little marks with. No. No. See, that's what I like about it. You can like experiment. You can see, like make a mark and see if you like it. And then delete it if you don't like it. This has kind of interesting shape at the end of it. See the end shape if I just tap it. So the end shape it leaves kind of interesting. Or go this way with it. Oh, there we go. Go that way with it. That adds an interesting shape. And lastly, getting down to the last couple ones. This one has a lot of texture to it. And what's this one do? Oh, that one's cool. This has a lot of like hairy feel to it. You can go light and get like that kind of brush look to it. Go harder. That'd be really fast to lay down some basic shape for hair. That's kind of cool. Right, so I went through all the brushes, and that's what was the result of just going through the brushes. If I go to, I have this abstract brush I made under my painting brushes. This one's really fun. I like this a lot. If I go light with it, I can blend the colors together, but still very textured. If I go hard with it, I can make some nice marks. This one's really fun to just pick up some of these colors and oops, I didn't mean to get rid of that light color there. Yeah, I have no idea what this should be. And sometimes I like the real subtle things. Like, see, like here, I'm taking this really subtle color and I'm mixing it with this background color a little bit. And look at that. It's a very, very subtle colors, subtle shapes, but I like that. I want to do a whole painting like that, where it's just subtle colors on top of other colors, so that the end result is almost like a blank canvas, but if you look at it, you can see there are shapes there. It's just they're so close together in shade that it's hard to tell anything's happening. So I'm thinking like almost like a mirrored world down here is what I'm kind of thinking of right now. Like not exactly a mirror, but kind of like a mirrored world, sort of like some of the things are backwards, but similar down here as they were up there. So that's kind of what I'm thinking of right now. But much, still keeping it very abstract, but I kind of just want to add that sense, that feeling of almost as if there's something similar and mirrored down here, but not exactly the same. And there you go. So it's just fun. Like, this kind of abstract I find very relaxing because you don't have to think about anything. I'm not thinking about anything in particular. I'm just making marks that look cool to me, and then kind of think about the overall structure and just thinking, does that kind of work? Yeah, there you go. We'll call it Japan. Yeah, I'll call that one Japan. I think that's a good name. And because it's called Japan, I'm going to add my favorite color into it in a couple spots. And I'm going to kind of mirror that down here. A little bit of a brighter version of it right there. And then finally a really bright version of it right there. Ah, too big. There we go, cool. See if it works at a smaller scale. I don't know, there's some things that look unbalanced to me about it still. It kind of looks like a number 4. See that number 4 right there? Yeah, some things about this one look unbalanced to me. In fact, I think it would look better if none of this was even here. I do like a little bit like leftovers, almost like it's I want to leave a little bit left behind in there, almost as if it was it was destroyed or something. Maybe kind of have a couple marks like that. And sometimes you gotta just take a look at what you're doing. And just see if it still works. Cool. I think I'll call that done. I have no idea what that is. It's not anything. That's just totally abstract. So sometimes that happens, where nothing comes out of it. It just keep it totally abstract. But still, I love abstract. Abstract's really fun. It's really relaxing. What's cool about abstract is you're just learning the tools. You're just messing around with the different marks you can make with the tools. A little bit with composition. That's why I took out that line, because compositionally it just didn't work right. But yeah, I'm gonna call this one Japan. I like that. I guess I'll save it. Maybe I'll delete it one day. But for now, we'll go ahead and save this under Abstract Paintings. And I'll call it Japan. Alright, cool. So this has been a really long stream. I usually don't stream this long for my art channel. Wait, am I under traditional? No, it's under... Cool. But yeah, so I'm gonna try to stream like once a week, do different things. I think next stream I think I'm gonna do this one here. I'll show you guys how to do this painting maybe. Let's see, where was that one at? This one here. Except without the fairy. The fairy would be like a whole stream in of herself. She'll probably take a while. So maybe we'll do this one. If you guys want, maybe I'll do this one. So hey, if you guys end up watching this video, after the video is no longer live and it's just on YouTube as a video to watch, if you want to leave a comment in the actual video itself, once it goes to that point, and let me know if you want me to do a live video of this one, like how I painted this one. I'll repaint it, but on a live stream to show you guys how it's done. Cool. Well, this is kind of based on that kind of idea, Niagara Falls kind of idea. This one's a really fun painting to do. I really enjoyed doing this one. I enjoyed it so much I did a traditional version of this as well. Let me see if I have that. Hold on. If I have that on here or not. The traditional version. I don't have a picture of it on here right now. Oh yeah, I forgot about this one. So this one I have hanging up on my wall. This is traditional. This one's actually hanging up right there on the wall right there. This is based on an old painting called Farmyard in Winter. I can't remember the name of the artist that's based on. Well, let me see if I can find I know I did a traditional one of that waterfall, the colorful waterfall. Maybe I just left it under here. That's weird, I can't find it. I know I have it though. Oh, you know what? Hold on a second. I'm going to go to my gallery really fast, so check this out. So here's where I actually have a lot of my paintings for sale. And I can show you that way really fast before I close this out. Alright, so let's see here. That's weird. I could have swore I know I did a traditional version of it. I must not have made a picture of it yet. I must not have taken a photo of it yet. That's weird. So I do have a traditional version of that colorful waterfall, and I guess I just haven't taken a picture of it yet, so I got to take a photograph of that. So some of these are crazy prices. Like, let me see here. One of these have sold for a crazy price. It's because it's a special kind of painting. So some of these are like this one here. And the reason why it sold for so much is because I don't do very many of these. But it's when I go into I go into a deep trance of meditation, and I stay in a meditative trance when I do some paintings. Those are like my spiritual type paintings where I'm trying to channel. But most of them are very affordable. But some of them, like I said, the ones that are the channeled paintings, they're expensive. But anyway, so I don't know. I guess it's not on here. But yeah, I can show how to do that one for sure. All right, cool. All right, guys. That's it for now. I can't believe I don't have a picture of that one though on my computer yet. That one's kind of fun. I can also show how to do this one. This one is pretty easy to do. I did this one traditionally. This is done with traditional paints, but I can show how to do this with this software. This would be a pretty easy one to do. I know it looks a little bit like it might be hard, but it's really not that difficult. Pretty easy. Until next time, I'll see some people next time when I go live again.